All right, it says we are live. It is Sunday evening. We're sitting here just kind of chilling. I'm Carlos, and that's Ameet. Mr. Ameet, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a fun day. I got a chance to sleep in a little bit, which is nice. The extra hour, quote unquote, was kind of a nice little bonus. And then I got a chance to make my brunch and sit down and watch some football for a little bit. My team didn't play so well, not so great, but otherwise there were some interesting games, even though some of them were a little questionable matchup wise.
I was watching the Bills game for all of 9 seconds before my kids took over and watched Netflix.
Okay.
And then I've been just sorting cards for the last 48 hours, ready for the virtual expo.
Yep.
I'm just full on into that right now. So I've seen more cards than I can shake a stick at.
That's all right. Sounds good. So we're going to hang out here a little bit tonight, and we're going to be chatting away. And then as we go along, if there are any questions in the chat, we can always take that. It's the usual thing. We're more than happy to talk with the chat as well. And the time that we're talking, Ameet and I discussed it a little bit. We got a couple of things we're definitely going to talk about. One other thing that you can all be aware of is that once this thing goes in, if you catch it halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, or not at the beginning, you can either back up and then play all the way through, or you can check out the replay later on. If I get around to it and we have some defined topics, I'll usually put some chapters. I did it on our last one that I did with AmishDaveArcher, just because it was so long that I was like, okay, I'll build some chapters in where we had a topic. You can skip ahead to the topic you're interested in, just to make everybody's life a little easier.
Sounds good.
Speaking of the man himself, here's Dave. How's it going, Dave? Dave was trying to win himself a card, so we'll see. Since he's joining us, we'll see if he won the card or not. You can let us know if you want, Dave. But he showed me he was trying to win himself a good card for one of his collections, so we'll see if he ended up picking it up. I actually won a nice card for my collection, so I'm going to show that off in my pickups, even though it was literally today that I won it.
I actually have a funny story of a card I bought in auction.
Hit it. Go for it. Why don't we start with that? Go for it.
Sure. So I have these. Have a couple of guys that I know from my time in the European Facebook groups, like very early European Facebook groups. Things called Euro cards.
All right.
And I would buy cards for this fellow, and normally I'm on top of things.
Okay.
So I bought this card, and I actually called eBay.
What card is it?
It's Eric Cernak.
Okay.
Leaf Metal Hockey. It's a 1-of-1.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I got it in the mail, and I'm like, what on earth is this? I go, did I buy this? I'm like, did I win it in an auction? I looked everywhere. I could not find it. And finally,
what record of you buying it?
I don't remember buying it at all. I'd have no recollection. I would know if I bought something as like this. Like, this is so out of what I don't buy that I would remember it.
Was there like a note or anything in it, or anything that referenced you?
Nope. It just came in a bubble envelope. No letter, no nothing. And I opened it, and I'm totally flabbergasted. So I get on my eBay. Last thing I check is eBay. So I checked Amazon. I checked CompC. I called a friend of mine at CompC. I'm like, I don't remember buying this. Is it really mine? Maybe it's a mistake. You sent it to me. No, it's nothing to do with us. Mm-hmm. So lo and behold, I look on eBay, and I'm like, oh, well, I bought this. And I'm like, why the hell did I buy this? I would never buy this. I'm like, there must have been a reason. Okay, I was like, all right, fine. I bought it, whatever. So I put it on one side.
Nice. Okay.
6 weeks. This was 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I get a contact, my friend Martin on Facebook, and he's like, you have this card. And I'm like, oh my God, you're the one who asked me to buy this card? I completely forgot he had asked me to buy it.
Okay, so somebody asked you to buy the card. That's why.
He asked me to buy the card. I completely forgot how I developed amnesia and Alzheimer's together. Yeah, together.
As you do. Yeah.
You think about it for a second. For someone like me who collects a lot of cards, and for me not to know what the hell happened and how I got this card is insane to me. And I really started to get worried about my old age.
I feel like this is the moment where you're about to shift over into Memento, if you remember that movie.
Yes, I do.
This might be you.
Yeah.
Let me grab a couple of comments from the chat here as well. Hey, Paul. Good evening as well. I think Paul, we're still chatting away on one of the cards here. I'll actually reply to you after the chat. I think we're good to go. I'll get back to you on that. Because Paul, I think, was looking at, I think, the Cujo card that I referenced earlier. Jeremy's here as well. Hey, Jeremy, how are you? Dudes. And Dave did win the auction. Awesome. So then I'll leave it to you to share what the card is later on. It was pretty cool, though. It was pretty cool. It's pretty nice for one of his collections. Perhaps a collection that he was recently featured as a super collector on another live stream on. Just throwing it out there.
Jack Johnson, right?
Yeah, Josh Johnson. He's been he's been a super collector of the month for Becca before on that one. So it is one of his more extensive collections, I'll say, that he's definitely taken time to build. So definitely a thing. Boston Kid, hi guys. Hey, how are you? So yeah, I think you're getting closer to the memento level, Ameet. I think you're gonna have to start tattooing things onto yourself to remember. Or take Polaroids with notes.
It's one of my frustrating TV show ideas when they run out of ideas and they have like this. I can't remember what movie it was. It was not Memento, but it was another one with Russell Peters in it, and they kept replaying the same scene over and over again. I cannot remember for the life of me what movie that was.
Okay,
but those movies drive me mental. I hate those movies. Like it's like a bad trip. Why would you want to do that?
Nice. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Drew Barrymore for Ameet's version. It does feature eBay though, so that's nice. Maybe they can sponsor it.
My crush when I was younger.
There you go. Nice. And the thing is, the 51st Dates was interesting about that one. Not a great movie, to be honest, but I will give credit. For some reason, Adam Sandler is actually pretty good when he's in a movie with Drew Barrymore, because there was that, and also The Wedding Singer was pretty good.
Wedding Singer was pretty good.
I thought The Wedding Singer was pretty good. 51st Date was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was fine.
I'm just going to let everyone know I'm winning. I'm looking at auctions. So if I kind of go mental for a second, I scream, or I just go comatose, I apologize in advance.
It could be all of the above. That's nice. That's good.
I'd like to try to do that simultaneously. That would be an entertaining fact.
I would enjoy it. I think that'd be fantastic. So, hey, Mike, how are you? So, Mike, I was actually chatting with Mike a little before we came online. So, I won't spoil that yet. We're going to be that, but we're finalizing. We were finalizing details on the time that I'm going to be hanging out with them, talking a little wrestling. So that's going to be coming up. We're going to talk some wrestling. I think it's going to be fun.
Just so you know, Carlos, I can't stand wrestling. With a passion.
That's okay. That's okay. So you're saying you want to do wrestle talk now? You want to talk some? I want to talk WCW circa 95, a little bit of ECW circa 99.
No, circa never.
Good stuff. Yep, indeed. That's all right. Ameet, we'll let you off the wrestling thing. But no, I watched it for years. I was so when the guys decided to put together a little kind of impromptu wrestling podcast deal, I've watched some of their episodes and they've had a lot of fun with it, so it's been good. See, Mike's trying to get you.
It already is dark. I don't need to go any darker.
That is true. I will give you that. I will say I have an interesting relationship with wrestling because I do treat it as an entertainment genre, but it is an entertainment genre that is not without its skeletons and demons. I won't go into that, but I'm fully aware, and it's one of those things where I have an interesting relationship with it because I do know enough to know what the dark side that we're talking about, for sure.
Yeah, it appeals to the lowest common denominator. I'm just going to leave it there.
So then 40-year fan is what you're trying to tell me? Ameet?
For like 40-year-old living with their mom's basement. Anyways.
Ooh. Ameet's turning heel. Anyway, so Andre the Giant of Boston Garden. Okay, that's pretty cool. Andre the Giant was definitely an attraction in his day, especially wherever he went, internationally, because he was a big star, especially for a long time there.
When you're that big, of course you are. But I will tell you one thing. I watched wrestling until Rowdy Roddy Piper and Piper's Pit, whatever time that was. That's when it ended.
Was it the coconut thing?
I don't remember, but that was 80s. I think it was Junkyard Dog. 80s. Rowdy Roddy Piper was there. Mm-hmm. Hogan, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Mm-hmm. I think it was.
Yeah, that would have been the mid 80s.
Some guy who bit turnbuckles for fun. I don't remember.
Oh, George the Animal Steel.
Yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm. And then some guy with a foghorn. He looked like a country singer.
Well, the country singer
with the glasses. He was a manager. What the heck was his name?
Oh, I do think I know who you're talking about now.
Jimmy something? Jimmy
Valiant?
No.
But I don't know if that was his gimmick.
He's really I think the last time I watched wrestling, it was on that country guy goes on. I gave up after that. Honky Tonk Man.
Well, Honky Tonk Man would have been a little bit later in the 80s, but yeah, Honky Tonk Man had a good run. He was the Elvis impersonator. He was basically an Elvis impersonator. That was his deal.
Jimmy Mouth of the South. That's
so you're talking about the megaphone then. You're talking about the guy with the megaphone. Okay, now I get what you're getting to. Yeah. Vinny's got it. Mike's got it. There you go. The Wild Samoans. I don't know where the Wild Samoans comes into play on this one, but fair enough. I get you. I think maybe it's reference to this here. An ex-Stampede wrestler trained Rayhorse for me. Yeah, those wrestlers got around in a lot of different places. It was kind of interesting.
Trained a racehorse. Did they take the same drugs?
It was the 80s, man. Hey, listen, they were Hulk Hogan vitamins. Ameet.
Hulk Hogan vitamins with his 24
Yes, you take your vitamins, you say your prayers, you get a little jacked, it's all good.
Sounds like a Metallica song gone wrong.
It might have made it on the cutting room floor. It was probably it was supposed to be on the Ride the Lightning album.
That was probably a song also.
Exactly. Anyway, all right, Ameet. We'll let you off the hook on the wrestling talk for now. That'll come later on the other podcast. I'll talk about it more when we get there. But for today, there were definitely some interesting pickups. I do want you to show off though your football card. You did have some good fortune with your blasters. You actually pulled kind of a cool card that you got out of one of the blasters of one of the current crop of rookies. So you got the Justin Herbert. Which version is that? Is that like the green?
It's a non-numbered green. I want to say mosaic prism. I could be wrong.
Well, I don't know. I assume because football was getting hot there for a minute as well. It still probably is kind of. Jake Herbert's played well in stretches here, so it's kind of a pretty good card to pull, I would say.
It is. I mean, it's a very nice card. It's very shiny. It's just like the basketball versions. I bought it because there was nothing else to crack, and I thought I would try it. That was the only hit I got in the box, but I actually like it. I mean, it's going to be off to PSA on Monday, so we'll see what it comes back as.
All right. So you sent through like a bulk submitter, one of those deals? Yeah, that's fair. They get good price as far as the per card.
Well, it's good for now until they raise it. But I mean,
well, so has that already taken? I knew that was coming up, but has that taken effect with them, or are they still honoring the old price for now?
I don't know actually 100%. I'm going to send it and then let me know what the price.
I think it's a pertinent question because since that price hike was coming, I'd be curious how those bulk submitters are responding to it.
I'm prepared to pay a little extra. I've got a good stack.
Well, I think that considering you got a blaster and you did get it for retail, which is awesome.
Yes.
So I think you're doing well either way, to be honest. Are you going to get faster though? Because the bulk submitting is slow.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it fast. Okay. I don't need any of my card. I'm not that crazy.
You're looking at it for next year.
Yeah, so in 2029, that's when I'll get it.
Probably, yeah.
Well, PSA 11 by that point.
Hey, maybe. Okay, I'll put us on here. I'm not too sure what he's referring to. So Vinny's got a question here about a Tyler Seguin card. Is there something you're working on with him? You can take it offline if you want to. I'm just curious.
I literally found a card, could not find what the price was, and I decided to create content and get an answer. So I went on Instagram and said, and I did like a grandma version of Instagram. I didn't put any hashtag. Like, does anybody know what this price is? Just tell me. And the all three people that responded, I appreciate it. Okay. So I just needed something for the show. I just could not find a comparable what that price was.
No, that's fair. I think there's nothing wrong with crowdsourcing a little bit because sometimes it's like, you know what, let's get the collective knowledge here. Like, can you guys throw some stuff at me? You can usually ferret out what makes the most sense. So for Mike, I would say, is he better than Joe Burrow? Right now, it's hard to tell what any of those rookies are. The big problem is the teams they play with, because I like Joe Burrow, and I think he played very well in the game today. I was very impressed with what he's doing. Like, he was determined. He was hell bent on winning that game.
How was Tua today?
Tua, I think, looked okay, but they did limit him, and correctly so. Like, it was his first game, so they were trying to basically they didn't want to put him in a position to be in danger. Like, they won the game comfortably, but he was under 100 yards passing. Yeah. So, like, the goal was going to be like, look, you're going to get a couple of plays to make a couple of throws. They're going to be controlled throws, decent. We're not going to ask you to air it out here, and then you're going to hand the ball off. So the job here is come in, let's get you some experience, let's get you some reps. You'll make a couple of throws, hand the ball off. Let's just win the game that way.
I wish they had done that with Robert Griffin. I really wish they had done that with him. That team destroyed his career.
Yeah, and because Miami is not a bad team. That's the thing. Is like they're not great, but they're definitely not like bottom rung. So it's a situation where it's like we just don't want to hurt the kid. Let him get some reps in, and that would be to his advantage just to get him more comfortable.
Who's the QB in?
Is Fitzpatrick?
Fitzpatrick still around?
Yeah. So now he's the backup.
Oh, wow.
The thing, though, is he was winning a couple of games. So it's not like they were playing terrible with Fitzpatrick. I think they were 3-3 coming into this game.
He's a Harvard grad.
Yes, he is.
That's the best part of it. And,
he was played for like 27 teams.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he'll have stretches where he plays really well. He'll have these stretches where he just plays really well.
Harvard grad. He avoided all of it. He probably avoided he probably knew every hit that was coming. And like, if I don't go there, I'll stay alive.
Well, the thing I will say about Fitzpatrick is that where his intelligence does kick in is that he's found himself a way to play well enough to keep getting himself a job. But then he'll get a starting job and then lose it. But then he'll move on to the next place, get a starting job for a while and then lose it. And then eventually he'll play for all 32 teams.
It's the weight of the beard. It's the weight of his beard. Once it gets too long, he loses it. It pulls on his brain. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Here you go. The Raiders of the Lost Ark warehouse reference last chat was the funniest regarding PSA submissions. True story.
I'm not. What was that one?
I think at one point, I don't know if it was PSA submissions. You'll have to remind us, Boston Kid. But I know we referenced the Raiders of the Lost Ark with the Rock chasing you. I think that was Comsey, though. I think it was Comsey that we were talking about because we did reference the rock chasing you, like a big rock.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
Comfy.
It was Comsey. Yeah, I thought so.
The ball rolling down the hill. Yeah.
I think it was Comsey, but we could be wrong. Like it's been a couple of weeks here. We try to space these out a couple of weeks so that Ameet and I have some time to let some stuff come up and think about some topics and things. And it makes it so we don't have to commit to a weekly schedule, but we're still here on a semi-regular basis, which is fun.
Just so you know, that ball that we referenced, that's why it takes us so long. We're waiting we get rolled over and then we have to recover and push the ball back up the hill and start this again.
Exactly. So you're saying it's Sisyphus?
Yes, or it's like Atlas in a sense, but it's a different Atlas.
Well, Atlas is the one who had to carry it. Sisyphus is the one who has to get it after gets to the top, rolls down, has to go get it, roll it back up, and has to keep doing that for eternity.
I had a guy in high school
who had to rock up and down for eternity.
He called it syphilis. He's like, sir, I know. It's like, what? Syphilis.
Not exactly the same thing. Not exactly the same thing.
Syphilis was putting different kinds of balls up the hill. Well, that's a different story. Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
You know what, Mike? It's very possible. Because the thing with Tua is they don't know. But I understand why they put him out there because they need to know what they have. Because now we're going to have the next draft class coming up and there's going to be some more quarterbacks and like everybody's trying to figure out who the next guy is. But it's tricky because a lot of these teams, I feel bad for them because a lot of these teams are trying to make this assessment with crummy teams. So I'm like, okay, so is the player playing badly because your team sucks? Or are they playing badly because there's no chance? Like nobody succeed.
Because of COVID and a lot of these schools aren't playing, will that give extra time for these picks that are here to give them extra time to actually develop? Like, hey, we're not going to have someone for a couple of years. Let's see how we can make this guy last a couple of years and work with him. Right. I think
what's weird about the NFL now is that I think the days, for the most part, now is the teams do not have the patience, which I think is a mistake because a lot of these guys are not ready right off the bat. Like, guess what? You got two choices. You either put them into a position where they're going to fail and you ruin their confidence, in which case they had the physical talent, but you wrecked them. Or the alternative is you basically immediately run to the next guy. And it's like
Ryan Leaf's a good example. Ryan Leaf's a good example of that, right?
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Now he had some mental makeup issues that also made his thing worse. But there are guys that might be good, but your team's so terrible that it's like, well, now we all think they're bad and they think they're bad. So now they're in their own head and now the whole thing's wrecked. So this is what
baseball's pretty much got it. Well, sorry, let's go back a second. Baseball's got figured out because they keep the players controllable. Well, let's ignore that for a second.
Yeah,
right?
It's a different reason for it. Yes.
They have a minor system, right? They have a farm team. Hockey has a very deep farm team, goes all the way down to the ECHL, all the way up to the AHL onwards, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Football almost needs that. And I think that's kind of like CFL was kind of loosely was looking to be that league. And then the XFL could be that league, but they need that feeder league. That
right there, the AAF prior to the XFL's most recent iteration was the guy who bought it was trying to become that.
Yeah,
because for him, he just had no patience. He didn't want to even try to get to that result. So let me grab a couple of comments here, but I'm in agreement with you. The thing is, if they can get a position being almost that feeder league, being like almost quadruple A baseball, so to speak, still professional, but then the teams are affiliated to some of the professional teams, then the teams might be a little more interested. That might be a thing. So let me go down here. Slow process. Absolutely. Yep. And tanking for Trevor. That's going to be a thing though. And right now the Jets are in the driver's seat for that potentially. And I don't know if if I was him, I wouldn't want to go to the Jets.
I don't think the Jets want to go to the Jets.
Yeah, because I made that joke. I made that joke previously where like if the Jets draft Trevor Lawrence, the happiest person in the building will be Sam Darnold because they're great. Get me out of here then. Ship me out of town. And it's like, just get me out because this has been a disaster and I want no more part of it. Sam Darnold might be a good quarterback or at least a decent quarterback, but nobody on the Jets is going to look good.
Look at Mark Sanchez.
Well, sure. Mr. Butt Fumble is a bit of a stretch. Mr. Butt Fumble.
Well, I mean, him and Tebow in the same class, weren't they? Anyway.
That sounds right to me, like timeline wise. Yeah, in fairness though, Boston kid Cam Newton was like thrown in there literally last minute. It's not like they specifically signed him as a free agent with the idea. Now, mind you, they didn't have, off-season training camp. They didn't have all that. Fair enough. But Cam Newton wasn't their first option. If they actually thought Jarrett Stidham was good, they would have let him start. Yeah. They just just get Cam Newton. Sure. We'll give it a try. Worst case scenario, he's gone at the end of the year. So I think
He
that
made
was
his money.
yeah, but I think Cam Newton I think Cam Newton still thinks he can be a viable NFL quarterback, and I think he can be, but the
The right
situation's
team.
got to be exactly right for him. It can't be. He can't make anything work. It's not going to work like that. He's not that kind of player, in my opinion. And I agree with Amish Dave. It's Adam Gase is as big a part of the problem as anything else. Although I will say, Dave, is that one of the things that's fun about the way the Jets are is I do enjoy listening to a couple of podcasts and live streams of some Jets fans post game. The rants, Ameet, the rants are so beautiful. They're so fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I love how Gary Vaynerchuk wears his crumpled up Jets hat on some of his podcasts. I'm just looking at it. That's kind of synonym of your team.
Yeah. Well, look, man, some people don't understand that the ownership is part of the deal. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Patriots. I don't like them. But I respect the coach, and I respect that the owner was smart enough to make it work with the coach for a long time. Does Brady have his place in that as well? Yeah. But it's really, for me, it's the three of them. As a package, they were able to then do something that lasted 20 years. That's impressive. The three of them all had a place in that. The three of them all had a place in that.
Yeah.
Individually, they all had their contribution, but as a package, they were stronger than the individual components.
Yep.
Because a lot of owners would not have tolerated Bill Belichick long enough to let him implement his program, and a lot of quarterbacks would not have hung in there long enough taking his abuse. The combination of the three of them together is what worked. As soon as you put in a quarterback who has an attitude or doesn't want to do it that way, then the coach is in trouble. If the owner loses patience with him, the coach is in trouble. Under normal circumstances, Belichick would have been tossed after a year or two, and then none of this would have ever happened. And I promise you, Brady would probably not have.
He did have a fortunate accident.
It was all time and place, though. That's what I'm saying.
It's a fortunate accident when Bledsoe got hurt.
Yep. It was blind luck. It really was just, it happened to work together, and those three happened to put it together. It worked out for them. Absolutely. But that's right. Exactly. I agree with you, Mike. Totally. But that's just reality, though. That's why I say with a lot of these young quarterbacks, that overall, my point is with these young quarterbacks, I feel bad for them because a lot of them are in a situation where that's not going to happen. They don't have the coach. The ownership isn't ready, doesn't have the right mindset to make that work. And it's going to look ugly. And then we're back to like, well, is the quarterback bad? It's like, well, if you guys keep drafting quarterbacks and they're all bad, then whose fault is it really? Are they all truly bad, or is it just, no, it doesn't matter who comes here? It's not going to work. That's the question you kind of have to ask yourself a little bit. But that's fair. Let me do one thing here, Ameet, real quick. I'm going to share my screen for everybody, and I want to quickly talk about two things that came up. One that was earlier today, and then one that's going to be coming up. Just a couple of quick shout outs here for everybody, since we've had a couple of minutes chatting. I was having some fun with it, so I wanted to kind of share here. So this was actually a podcast earlier today, Essential Credentials. So if you check out the Essential Credentials, the guys were on a little earlier today talking about a 2020 wrap up and talking about their collecting focus. So you got Brent Near Mint Musings here. You got Ryan here who does a super collection basically of Felix Hernandez. I just had to remember and think about it a little bit. So that came on a little bit earlier today. And then the other one I'll share with you guys upcoming, since he's been in the chat, is that you're going to have AmishDaveArcher on his channel is going to have their podcast coming up on Tuesday. What I love, though, was the title. I appreciated the title on a personal level. So they were supposed to talk about burnout on the last episode. But this time around, episode 12, my favorite number, so bonus for that, burnout, and in brackets, we will talk about it this week. Really. I just appreciated that, as a title there. See? They have self-awareness. It's wonderful. That's why I thought I would share.
Is it delayed self-awareness?
What's that?
It's delayed self-awareness, isn't it?
Well, I think though it was more relevant because they actually didn't get a chance to actually talk about burnout in the previous episode.
But that means they weren't burnt out. Anyway, that's the return.
It's not them being burnt out. It's talking about burnout.
Oh, hey, I'm just I'm making inferences here.
All right.
Hey, when you do podcast and draft whatever for 17,000 hours in a row, you might get burnout.
I think it's more collecting burnout rather than podcast burnout because I don't think Dave is capable of podcast burnout.
Well, I don't know Dave well enough, but it doesn't seem like he would be burnt out from anything.
There you go. So I had to give you a plug, Dave. So the channel is the same as right there. Yeah, exactly. So let me quickly put a couple of comments here. If you don't have a fairly solid quarterback, you're just wandering in the middle. Yeah, for sure. But the thing is, you can get by to a certain point. And I guess let me pose this question to you as kind of a thought for everybody while we chat about some of the other topics as well. Is Ryan Tannehill a good quarterback? Is the system good? Was he underutilized in Miami, which I think is fair if you want to make that argument, because in Tennessee, he's good, or at least workable with what they do. And that team also has other components which make it work so that he's not reliant upon. We don't rely on Ryan Tannehill to win the game for us. He's part of the solution, but he's not the solution. So there are quarterbacks that can fit that mold. So there's system, there's culture, there's the team structure, and then there's the players themselves, right?
I agree.
For sure. And yep. Yeah. So part of the reason that's why I had a little fun with that, because Dave and Steve were going, but they reached the end of the podcast and they hadn't really touched the topic. So that's why it's carried over to episode 12. So think of it as a part 1 and part 2, really.
Okay. I was going to make a comment, but I'll just leave it.
Ameet is always on the cusp. He wants to turn heel. He's like feeling it, and boy, wants to get there.
I would love to, but I'm not going to. Dave and I are friends for all of 3 episodes. I don't know enough to. We're 3 episodes deep, so when we get to about 7 episodes, I might have license to bug him.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, there you go. That's the golden rule. Now we know for sure. Yeah. So do you want to get to the first topic, or do you want to share 1 or 2 more cards and then we'll get to it? What do you want to do?
Let's get into the topic so that way the crowd at least interested, right? And then we can get into the other.
Sounds good. We'll show off some more cards in a little bit because I've got a couple of things queued up just in case as well, and we'll definitely talk about that. So let's do Mike Baker Authenticated, and then we'll lean off of it into a couple of the other discussion points. So real quick, guys, I'm not going to spend too much time with a lot of this because I did do a video on it as a primer, just as a starting point. It's not the final bit. I was curious if the chat had any thoughts about that whole grading the grader thing. The Mike Baker Authenticated thing really is, it's supposed to be like a sticker. And what I'll do is while we're talking about it, I'll find it here and I'll put it up on the screen. So let's see here. I'll get it up on the screen here for us. But the idea is that you take an already graded card, really. And then when you go and you send it in, really what's happening is they're looking at the card itself and then applying a sticker to it depending on different criteria. So my point on my channel, what I was talking about is I've seen this work in coins. But it's a very, very specific use case. It's not like it works with everything. It doesn't work with everything. It's got to be a case where maybe it's a card that's borderline, like a PSA 9 that is like a nice for a 9 that's like on the right day, you get the right grader. This could be a 10. There could be some value to that. My point, though, is for modern cards, if you feel that's the case, you're probably going to crack it out and send it in.
Yep.
That's your instinct. You may as well just save the middleman and just go for it yourself. This is for vintage, though. I could see some value if you've got a card, and I use the 57 Topps Man as an example. You got a card that traditionally these have a lot of condition issues that are specific to the issue. Where, you know what, this is a nicely centered copy. This one has a nice picture registration. That's not normal for this issue. So this might be a really nice example. You know what? Don't crack it out, but we've got to acknowledge this is nice for the grade. This is a nicer example than normal. So compared to regular PSA 6s, you might pay a premium if you're a connoisseur or collector of this set.
I think that would, so just a couple of questions, couple of comments there. So one is the Beckett grading system, which has the subgrades, right? That's kind of what these guys are doing, right? So Beckett probably wanted to incorporate some of that, kind of the ambiguity of the grading, right? By introducing that 4-point scale. There's that. And also just from a cracking things out perspective, I've gone to enough shows. There's enough cases or BGS slabs that have been cracked open and left on the floor from people not happy with their grade. So, I mean, I would crack it out myself if I wasn't happy with the grade. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I see that from that perspective. But I mean, you mentioned a couple of interesting segues in terms of how they do this with coins, right? So it got me thinking, right? Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I use the coin example because they've actually been around a little while. It's not like a year or two. They've been around for over 10 years and they've done 650,000 coins. So that market has found a value to this. Now, mind you, one thing that I would keep in mind, and I'm not comparing apples to oranges here. I'm comparing, it's basically apples to oranges right now because coins are very unique in the way they're graded. They're a little bit different in the way they're graded. The collector base is very different in the way they accept and do things. But also when they started this thing, it was more than 10 years ago. They were well-known dealers in the hobby. It wasn't like 1 or 2 people putting together a business. Right now, as far as I know, this is Mike Baker. There might be other people, Does he have some background in the hobby? Sure. He worked for PSA and I think GAI. So there is something there. It's not like out of nowhere, but at the same time, I have to see the cards. I need to see them done this way. And I need to see the resale value, because if the resale value is there and establishes the market with enough, more than one or two, then we can start talking a little bit. But until then, it's just an idea that's been done in other avenues, but not this one.
It's an idea for sure. But I think we need to. I think the hobby needs to mature again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we talked about this before. The hobby's matured already by having non-hobbyists come into the market, right? Already you've got people with money. These are high clientele people that have a lot of money and a self net worth that coming into the industry. So it's going to mature from that perspective. Exactly. So this is another level of maturity. I think you're going to get some of the people complaining about it, like they always complain about it. But I mean, I'll take everything with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. The only comical point of it is if someone's not happy with their recertification, they're going to rip the sticker off. No different than cracking it out of the case. Mm-hmm. So you got to have a bit of that. So, I mean, you're not going to win them all, right? So
that's why I said though that. So to Dave's point here, I don't think it's gauged towards new collectors, Dave, although I think they'll market themselves. Maybe we'll put it a different way. I don't think it should be gauged to new collectors because I don't think new collectors are going to benefit from this. I think, like I said, I use vintage as an example because I think the best application of it is vintage. I think for newer cards, it's just, you're wasting your money. Like you really are. I really don't think the value is there because with newer issues, you can kind of figure out what's there. I use that one specific vintage example because there are nuances to that set where if you know what you're looking for, you understand. To you, a modern card that's great, that's centered well. Okay, great. So what? But if it's a set that's notorious for bad centering, okay, hold on, wait. Okay, this means something. This is actually relevant. As opposed to one where it's like, yeah, I expect it to be well centered. Well, actually, it turns out that that's the exception rather than the rule. So a great exceptional centered example is actually worth a premium to the right collector.
Yep, but the subjectivity. So the one thing I will, just thought this just came off the top of my head is Prism. Okay, let's use a Prism card as an example. So a lot of, I've heard on many shows like Jeremy's show, I've heard on a couple of other shows is what exactly does centering mean, right? Sure. Relative to what? So they say relative to a marker on the card. So in that perspective, I think if they can kind of corner the market on what that interpretation means from a centering perspective on modern day Prism card, then you might see an uptick from that point of view. But again, it's subjective, right? So if it's a difficult nut to crack, but I can see some valuation there that would be very handy, right? For example, a Giannis Prism Silver compared to this Prism Silver, both are PSA 10. But if they can figure out some sort of math around the logo or the Prism logo itself or the marker or something like that to say this is more of a center than another card, that might work.
Yeah, I think though, like in all honesty, I don't really foresee a scenario. Why would you want to recertify a 10? Because even though it's not a perfect card, let's be clear, it's not a perfect card because if you go to PSA standards, that is not a perfect card. You can have a better 10 than another 10. That is possible. But at the same time, for most people buying it, a 10 is a 10. A 10 is a 10 is a 10.
But people, okay, so let's go step up. People want the best of the best and they want to claim their fame, right? So to say my 10 has been Mike Baker certified to be a 10.1 out of 10. Right. I'm the only one that has a 10.1 out of 10 compared to all the other cards they've seen so far. So
that's fair, but the thing is, they don't put the 0.1, like they just put it for the grade.
No, I totally get that, but I'm just using a very crude, just so the audience can understand, a very crude standpoint that it's a 10.1 on a 10 scale, but it's all coming down to dollars and cents.
Yeah, I think though PSA could mitigate it. PSA could mitigate against that by coming up with their own black label. That's all it would take.
They could, but I mean, it's the same thing. People want to get an extra nickel out of the sale, so they'll do whatever they can. You and I can come up with authentication saying we'll go to reverse end. So we'll tell you what the worst PSA 10s are, and these are ones you can avoid. So we wanted a way off center. We got that down pat, Carlos. We can figure it out. We can be the.
We need to take this offline, Ameet, because I just got some dollar signs in my eyes. Is what I'm saying.
We're the inverse of the grading scale.
I'm highly qualified for this. Highly qualified.
We can do a service where we can guarantee you a PSA 1. Give us a mint card, and we'll get you a 1.
Yeah. So let me grab I've got one comment on here, and then I've got Mike's got a comment here. So let me throw these on. So the hobby exploding popularity. Do they have enough seriously qualified grade? That's a very 100% valid point, because right now PSA needs to hire more graders. SGC needs to hire more graders. BGS needs to hire more graders. And if they're competing for the same pool of graders and there's not enough people that have either qualified or already been trained or already have the experience, then yes, there's a shortage. So for the graders, I suppose this is great because it means more demand for your services, which means you can make more money. But it means that you're still not going to be able to ramp up enough people to make the gap, because you really want experienced people, especially for the high-end cards. You want experienced people. You don't want the guy. You don't want the new guy on his first day on the job.
No, you don't want a guy sits there and you hand him a loop and there's like, oh, magnifying glass.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
So Mike's put a point down here as well. So Mike Ricker worked for PSA. Almost he's admitting the grading is suspect to begin with and applying his own financial gain. So I get your point, Mike. The only thing that I would point out, though, is that PSA created the opening for this because, and I used the gap between the PSA 9 and the PSA 10. There are some PSA 9s that by their own standard are probably a little nicer than the 9, but they don't quite make it up to the level of a 10. That's where BGS has the 9.5. That's where SGC has their 9.5. PSA doesn't have it. They do have half grades. They've got like an 8.5 and a 7.5 and so on and so forth. So PSA created this room by not having a 9.5 subgrade, but a 9.5 grade.
I got a wicked idea, Carlos.
You've got a wicked idea?
All right. Wicked idea.
What is your wicked idea? This is almost as good as the low-end registry. Go on.
We go to low-end registry. We guarantee you a PSA 1. That's my other good idea. The other one is all these Zigman Palffy graded cards. Mm-hmm. We can actually find the truest 10.1 of 10 Ziggy Palffy. So see if Mike Baker is worth it.
Right.
We'll send it to him.
Right. So for the record, see, if you watch my videos, you know this. I actually did a tribute to you and Ziggy Palffy in my last video.
You did. I didn't see your last video.
You got to watch the pickup video. I'm not going to explain what it is, but I definitely did a tribute to you, Ziggy Palffy, and Wendell Clark.
Oh,
in that video. In that video.
What? You got to watch it. Count. You're going to get a +1 video count. I'm going to go watch it. I'm not going to say more.
I'm not going to say more, but it's definitely in there, and I went out of my way to include it. It was definitely in there.
I'm telling you, I appreciate it. We're going to do this whole Seinfeld kind of thing where we're going to mention Superman. Ours will be Ziggy Palffy. I'm sorry. The joke's old, but it'll never be old.
Yeah, there you go. So let me quickly grab a couple of the old comments also, because Dave was mentioning a couple of things in there. We'll stick on the Mike Baker, but I do want to make sure I include Dave's comments in here because there's some fair ones. Yeah. So yeah, the thing is that Steve and Dave, usually it's what you're really getting, just so you guys know, jokes aside, what you're really getting when you're looking at their podcast, don't take it in the same way of a lot of other sports card podcasts. It's basically a conversation of two friends just chatting about whatever. It happens to have a hobby topic in there. And if in the course of the conversation it happens to come up, it comes up. And then the chat is also, think of the chat as the third man in the room.
Okay.
Because the chat can go all over the place. and they are very open to going in whatever direction the chat goes. So you have to understand that's why there's not a lot of structure. But also Dave encourages you. He goes, turn heel, Ameet. He's got thick skin. Go for it. He's saying, hit him with the steel chair in the back, Ameet. Do it.
Yeah, I'll do it right through my own computer, and then I'll take myself out. It'll be like a cyber version of a heel where I go to hit you with the chair and it hits me. I hit my own computer. I've lost internet connection. I'm done.
Exactly. So let me include this here as well. Here's what's interesting, Mike, though. Let me pose this question to you and the chat, everybody. The thing, though, is that technically, in a way, though, if Mike Baker is successful in his venture, again, if we don't know yet, we're seeing what happens. We're only bringing it up because it's a new-ish thing in the hobby. Right now, a lot of things have already been done 100 times. Yeah. I joked with you guys on the chat. The only reason I haven't done a thing on Star Stock is because to me, it's not different enough from other platforms to warrant its own standalone video. Like I struggle with the idea of like taking more, like I can give you a 2-minute video on it. Like, so this is how it looks like ComC and this is how it looks like this other format that already existed. And if you want to see this, go to thepit.com because they did this 20 years ago. End of video.
Oh, the Pit. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
The Tops, right? Tops did the Pit.
Afterwards, initially it was around the .com boom. I actually went on the Wayback Machine and looked it up, Ameet. It was 2000 when they started the pit.com.
So what was the premise of the Pit again? Can you remind me?
I'll explain in 2 seconds. But the point that I'm trying to get across is that right now in the hobby, we're still looking at prices. We're still looking at markets and whatever. There's not really a lot of new hotness. So the Mike Baker thing was at least this is a wrinkle. And to Mike's point here, though, is it really necessary to create your own grading company when doing that sticker and the certificates is cheaper than buying encapsulation equipment?
Yeah, I totally agree. Why not?
It feels like it's simpler. It feels like it's simpler. That's, to me, just my opinion. I feel like this is an easier way of getting around it without having to go through investing in all that equipment.
I mean, seriously, it's like you want to find out your best slice of pizza? Well, you can go sample someone else's pizza and see if it's good enough.
Sure.
It's kind of like recertification. Why would you go make your own pizza and eat it and see if it's good enough, right? It's just like same idea.
Oh, totally. And that's a valid point. During the long chat with Amish Dave, we definitely brought up Ziggy. And I told you he included the Ziggy card in his showcases.
We have the red string like they do in the Amish. I said Amish. I meant to say anime, and it came in Amish.
Nice.
In anime, we take the red thread that goes between different series. So we've got the red thread. It's on Ziggy.
You got to understand, Ameet. We don't actually exist in this world. We're
No,
inside the greater Ziggy Palffy universe. This is the Ziggy Palffy omniverse.
yes,
It all comes back to Ziggy in the end.
it does. It's
It does.
an easy name, Ziggy. I need to get a T-shirt.
Absolutely. There you go. So Boston Kid buys center cut. No, that's valid, man. Like I'm at no point in my video or in any of the conversations I'm having with Ameet or anybody else, I am not suggesting that anyone should go buy this.
Correct.
All I did in my video is I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you where I think it could work, who it could work for potentially. I'm going to keep an eye on it with interest. I don't need this. To me, if I know the issue that I'm collecting, I'll look for the well-centered examples. I'll look for the ones with good registration because I can use my own eye. I trust my eye. You wouldn't know it from my pickup videos, but I used to collect a lot of vintage and I still do on my own time. I'm as qualified as a lot of these graders to know an authentic card and a well-graded card. But I do that for myself. But that's only experience in handling a ton of those cards. That's the only way you learn. You wanted to add something, Ameet?
No, I'm gonna hold my tongue. I hold my tongue.
You keep holding your tongue. Just say it. What do you want to say?
That's okay. It's okay.
This guy, I don't know.
It's your own certification. You have the dollar store. You know those. You go to the dollar store and you buy those packages of red and yellow and green stickers. That's you.
Yeah.
Red. Yellow,
No, but the point is though, Ameet, that like if you've been in the game long enough, you know the issues that you're collecting. You know whether the card's good or not. So like this extra stuff is to help you. It's not the whole certification thing really took off because some people were too lazy to do the legwork. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to study the issues. They didn't want to. Here's the thing. If you guys really studied the vintage cards, you could have it in your hand and just hold it. And you could tell that this card's wrong.
The vintage, I mean, I'll say I'm not. It's a centering aside. Like that one's easy. Surface condition, I always screw that one up. Mm-hmm. Corners are easy. So yes, you're right. After being in the industry long enough, you can actually tell by just the smell of the card. Take it out.
If you handle enough of them, you're just going to know. Yeah. Like if you've handled enough, you will know whether something's legit or not. Yeah. And then in addition to that, it's just experience. It's just practice. Yeah. You'll get it. But if you don't want to take that time, then certification is meant to help you as a shortcut. It's somebody's opinion to help you by sight unseen. Because that's really what it is. It's like, yeah, I can show you a picture, but you can't hold it in your hand. Yeah. So at least this holder tells you that somebody looked at it.
Yeah.
And this thing here is just somebody else's opinion on an opinion that was already rendered.
Yep. And also, if you think about it, Mike Baker is a subjective grade from a subjective grader on a subjective piece of cardboard.
Yeah. And that honestly, that's why I say, like, if there's value to you, then fair enough. I bring it to people's attention because I want them to know that it exists. I'm not suggesting you buy it. No. I'm not in any way advocating for it. That's not my job here. And you can ignore it, but at least you know it exists. So that way you're not ignorant of it. So working on a mid OC 8182 Edmonton Oilers team set.
Just really quickly though, the Mike Baker thing is not really that much different than JSA. So JSA will authenticate and give you I believe, I've never done it, but I believe they'll give you some sort of mailing of a certificate saying this is quote unquote authentic. Mm-hmm. The same kind of idea. I mean, PSA saying an autograph is authentic. Again, subjective. Yeah.
Well, here's another angle on the JSA thing that you're talking about. Okay, so imagine you go and you get a personal autograph from your favorite. You get a Wendell Clark autograph. He signed it for you. He's in front of your face. You got a picture with Wendell Clark signing it, literally standing there smiling with you, and you're in the picture with your arm around him. You know it's legit. You send it to JSA, they say it's fake.
Yeah.
You're like, I was there. I
totally get it. But I've seen COAs of a person who's in a crowd getting an autograph, and you're like, dude, that's from 400 feet away. Like, how is that authentic?
But what I'm trying to get at here is that it's possible for you to send that card into JSA and for them to say no because it's their opinion. And you're like, I was physically there with him. Now they don't know that. They don't know that. They're not aware, but they're just looking at the autograph and in their opinion, it's fake, but you're like, dude, I know it's real because I was physically there with him. And he signed it for me. Like it can say to Ameet, my best friend, Wendell Clark. And
Okay,
you're
you
like,
know what
no,
you do?
no, there.
We'll do it through the mail. You do that guy that you always make fun of in the Mets. What the heck? The
Greg
card.
Jeffries?
Yeah, you do Greg Jeffries. I'll do Ziggy Palffy. We'll write a letter to him in the mail, get an autograph. We'll both send it to JSA and see who actually gets an authentic grade.
Mhm.
I wonder what they would charge for a Ziggy Palffy autograph. Would that be
It's the same price as everybody else. I don't think it would be any different. No. I think it would cost you the exact same. And he's right, though. We're all part of the Cardiverse.
Actually, we should just get Ziggy on this show.
He might be available. So let me grab a couple of comments here. Ziggy Palffy workers are valuable if you measure by the pound. Fair.
True.
Even if you don't like ratings, easy value rating, increase the value. Yeah. But the thing is, it's to help the people that aren't comfortable. Buying online is scary. If you don't know what you're doing, even if you get it, if you don't have the experience, you're not sure, the grading is supposed to give you that extra layer of somebody looked at it. Yeah. Somebody tried to validate it. Because like, how do you know if you're new and you've never done it before, and this is completely new to you? I can buy raw vintage cards and look at them and go, yeah, this is cool. Or this one, I'm a little iffy on this one. You know what? Take that one back.
Yeah.
I've done that. But that's because I've handled enough of these cards to be like, I have a good sense. I can have it in my hand and be like, all right, now that I see it, no good.
I think being a hobby veteran, I'm not perfect at it. I'm sure people like Jeremy and other people are better at spotting fakes and stuff, but I know enough to know how to be dangerous and not buy the wrong thing, right?
That's fair. And that's what we're talking about.
Ziggy listed on the COMC represents a visible universe. These are cards, not price listed.
Paul enjoyed that one too. I just thought I would share
that. That was well done. That should go on your title, just underneath your title of your next video.
Yep. Well, Mike, you can give it a shot. You can give it a shot. I'll be honest with you though. I've seen a couple of the pickup videos. Just don't tell them that sometimes you can't read the name on it because the text is small. I'm not giving Mike a hard time, but sometimes the text is small on it, and it takes him a second to figure out who the player is. So it's like, well, don't include that in your qualifications for the authentication. Don't include that.
Yes.
That might not work for you. And it's like, full respect. I don't wear these for fashion, so full respect. No worries there.
That was the best comment. I love that comment. That was good.
Berries? So
Berries. That was well done.
The Ziggy Palffy Cardiverse keeps expanding. We're learning more as we're going along. Here you go. Hold on. No, Mike, I'm saying you're blind. If you want to use your age as the rationale for it, that's legit. That's fair.
Oh, that was good.
It's like, whatever works. Like I'm good.
Too good. You may have lost a subscriber, buddy. You may have lost a subscriber.
Hey, listen. There you go. Here you go. Fair. That's legit. I'm not going to assume your age, Mike. I'm not going to assume your age. I can assume your eyesight because I've got visual evidence.
Hey, I got trifocals on, man. Or they're called progressives now, man.
Yeah. No, listen, I was playing. I love playing. When I was a kid, I was playing baseball until I reached the point where I couldn't see the ball anymore. And that year I got hit like 30 times. I got hit by pitch. And then I was like, all right, we got a problem here.
Carlos,
go ahead.
Let's be real. They were trying to hit you. That's the whole point.
They were always trying to hit me, Ameet, but when I could see it, I could get out of the way.
Yeah, man. They were just trying to beat you, man. Do you take steroids at all in your baseball career?
What's that?
Do you ever take steroids in your baseball career? And
get the bad ones, apparently, because it didn't help with the eyesight.
Were you part of the Astros?
What's that?
Were you part of the Astros?
I was once part of the Little League Astros, as a matter of fact.
Were you banging trash cans?
Well, I'd be the hitter, so I'd be the one hearing the trash can. I mean, banging the trash can at the batter's box would be a little awkward.
Just so I damaged a card. It fell off my table and under my
deservedly so. Frankly, you deserve that.
Yeah, that was crappy.
That was a lame attempt by you to turn heel. You should just done it when Dave gave you the option. He let you. We were ready to go. But yeah,
it's a double.
Yeah. Okay. No, the thing was that I loved playing Little League baseball, and it was a lot of fun. The problem is once it became because we had a lot of the school bullies there, and they would try to beat everybody. So we had like a high amount. The thing is, if you can see it, you can get out of the way. So it's like they can only do it so many times before they got to throw a strike. So it's like eventually, but if you can't see it and you keep getting hit after a while, you're like, I don't want to keep getting hit anymore.
It's too funny because like you grew up obviously in Toronto, right?
Well, Mississauga, but yes.
Mississauga. Okay, sorry. You're one of the rare people that actually say I'm from Mississauga when most people are from Mississauga. Like I'm from T-Dot.
I've lived here since '88. The only time I was away for an extended period was university. I've been here pretty much since then, the whole time.
I grew up in a really small town in Newfoundland where we didn't have Little League. We had like the east side of town would play the west side of town. And our games were competitive, man. We were mean 6-year-olds. Yeah, those are really, you just reminded me of some really good times as a kid.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we actually had the school bullies on the other teams. They were around, and the thing is, they would try to beat you. That's not a joke. Like they actually would.
It doesn't surprise me, Carlos. It does not surprise me that someone's trying to beat you in the head.
Oh, well, here's the thing. You could say it was me, except then the batter after me would also get beamed. And then the one after that would also get beamed. After about 4 or 5 batters in a row, it's like, you want to blame me for all of those too?
Like your trash talking from the second base would drive any pitcher mental.
Oh, bro, on point. You better believe I got my mileage out of that. And you better believe I did everything in my power to hit a couple of comebackers. I got him back a couple of times in the side of the head. You better believe it. I'm not sure which kid he's referring to, but I don't know.
His kid is probably 40 something.
That could be. The back usually say chin music. Hey, listen. Unfortunately, because there were different levels, you had the.
That was good. I like this Canadian Cards kid.
The Canadian Cards kid. He's blind as hell, but he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. He's gotten you twice now. And the best part is you couldn't see the ball coming. You could see the comments coming, yet you still put it on screen.
Yes. Yes, Ameet.
Even though it's a burn on you. Anyways.
Ameet, the beauty of endless arrogance is that I'll put it on the screen without a problem. Come on. When you get there, you'll know. You'll become impervious. But yeah, you know what's interesting though, like in the because there's different levels like Little League. You got they had, because it was called the Mississauga Baseball Association. Yeah. And then you had the Ontario Baseball Association, which was more general. So you could try out for the OBA, and then they had the NBA. And I played kind of in the NBA, but then you had the kind of the league where you tried out, and then you had the I don't remember what the name of it is. I want to say it was like it was just house league. I guess we just call it house league. It was the more general, like you come in, you get assigned to a team, you play, whatever. It's all good. And then you could play in some tournaments and stuff and whatever. So I tended to do that, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Cool. So hey man, you had fun. That was the main thing.
Yeah, but I would have kept playing after that, but like all jokes aside, it sucked not being able to see because I actually wanted to hit the damn ball. But by the time I could pick up on it, it was too damn close. And it's like, I might be able to foul it off, and that'd be about all I could do.
You have no idea how much joy I'm hearing you say this for the 4th time that someone tried to hit you.
I'll say it for the 15th time if you want.
There you go.
60 Koufax National last year. Love that card. 64 Roger Maris. Those are awesome cards. Here. Trying is the key word.
I can't be a heel. There's no heelish part of me.
I don't have this issue. You see, at least Mike likes you.
He burned you twice. He's my friend now.
Even though I was on phone with him before we got on here. Yeah. Well, I called him blind, so I think it's only fair. He should get a couple shots in. Yeah, every time he got hit for talking trash, that was his answer. Yeah. But in fairness, Vinny, I talked trash before I got hit, and then I talked more trash after I got hit.
It probably didn't sound. It sounded like gibberish. It was a concussion. He didn't know what he was saying.
No. What's wrong with you? You wear a helmet, man. Maybe you didn't wear a helmet. That would explain a lot.
It's not working, Carlos. No, no. I'm a 100% bionic man. I ain't got no heels. I'm a runner. I just run. Balls of the feet. I'm just gonna go with it. Just keep carrying on, man.
I just wanted to let it sit for a minute.
I knew you did. I wasn't gonna let you. This is where you got to the awkward silence part of the video.
Oh yes.
Yes,
indeed. I was enjoying it.
What are you gonna name this chapter?
What's that?
What are you gonna name this chapter?
I'm gonna name it Ameet tries to turn heel and fails.
Okay, there you go. I'm proud of not being able to fail.
Of not being able to fail or of failing?
I don't want to fail.
But you did.
I didn't.
You didn't turn heel though.
I didn't turn heel.
But you tried to turn heel and didn't succeed.
I didn't try at all, Carlos. That's the thing.
Then what were you doing?
I'm not sure. Can we keep going?
I can drag this out for 5 minutes if you like. Yeah. Hey, listen, you got to try, buddy. You got to try.
What did Jeremy say? go back to Jeremy's comment for a second?
You guys are hilarious for the most serious, thoughtful hobby discussion, most ridiculous off-topic gibberish. Yes. That is the range of this show, Jeremy. That's the range.
Yeah.
It's a range. So here, hold on, I'll answer this. Hit by pitch or hits. For most of my Little League career, hits, last year, hit by pitch all the way.
What was your average, Carlos?
Counting the last year or not counting the last year? Because
whatever
I kept those.
Whatever you think statistically would work in your favor, go for it.
I'll include all of it. I hit about 620 for 8 years. It's Little League. Anybody can hit in Little League.
You have an aluminum bat too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not acting like that's supposed to be impressive. It isn't, because you can hit in Little League with an aluminum bat. The ball flies right off the bat, and especially like they don't know how to play defense, and they don't know how to play the shift. They don't do any of that stuff. So it's like there are gaps all over the field. Just knock it in an open space and run.
On a serious note, one of my sounds I hate the most is the sound of a ball hitting an aluminum bat.
An aluminum bat? Why?
Yeah,
the ping?
It doesn't sound like real baseball. I don't know.
Do you play golf?
I'm talking about baseball.
No. I'm saying though, do you play golf? Because the sound of it hitting like on more of an aluminum driver would be very similar.
No, it's different.
It's a different ping.
It's completely different, Carlos.
Okay. If you say so. Anyway,
we'll go golfing. Our next show will be on the golf course.
Maybe. Hey, I'm open to that. At this point, I have no short game or even mid-range game, but I can hit it off the tee. So
I have 0 game. So let's go play.
Beautiful. Love it. So going from the Mike Baker thing, though, the other thing was because there was a lead in from there. So going from there, what was it? We talked about just before, and I forgot it already.
But we talked about the beginning. You're asking me the two topics
after the Mike Baker thing.
Yes. So we wanted to get into a bit of a discussion on restoration. So I had
thank you. That's what I was wondering.
The idea that in the art world, right, it's very common practice and acceptable to restore art. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas in our hobby is yes, the ping sound is super obnoxious. It just sounds awful. It sounds like someone got hurt. Anyway, it's basically
maybe that's why I like it.
It's okay to restore art.
Yeah,
okay?
And I think
as long as not an outright forgery, you can restore the art. I'll let you kind of kick it off in terms of what it's all about. Let you set it up, and we'll take it from there.
Look at that! I got a banner and everything.
Holy cow! You've been listening to Jeremy.
Look at this, buddy. Look at this. Okay, so here's the deal. What we're going to discuss is not whether it's good or bad, because realistically, that's kind of open to you. But we'll present a couple of the pluses and minuses. The key, though, one of the big things that you're thinking about, we're thinking about kind of in the art world, restoration is not a 4-letter word. It's really something that in some instances makes a lot of sense, because some of these paintings have lasted a long time. And if left to their own devices, they're going to degrade. It's the material, it's the paint, it's all these things. Sports cards are treated a little differently, but we got to remember, even though sports cards have been around a while, it's still paper stock. It's still stuff that under poor conditions could easily fade. It could degrade. It could break down.
Yep.
It could be the actual material itself. It could be the front or the back of it, because again, it's just a layer. This is what's always made cards interesting, because the difference between a 52 tops mantle and a 52 tops common is a couple of layers of paper on both sides. Yeah. The entire inside, the material inside of a 52 tops high number is the same for every single one of them. It's the same cardboard. It's what you printed on the front and the back. That's really all it is. So maintaining that and keeping it in good condition is part of the trickiness. But in sports cards, restoration is a very dirty thing, because you're talking about alteration. You're talking about messing with the original condition of the item. And it's kind of interesting the way that you treat the two things.
Look at another one is in the automobile industry, right? Vintage cars are restored. There's so many shows on so many networks that people specialize in restoring cars, right?
Yep. And there's part here that what Bob is saying that I'm in complete agreement with, and it's very important. Documented.
Yeah.
Because that goes back to kind of something we talked about, where I talked about in the past about the whole authentic card thing, where you've got it in a holder and it's authentic, as opposed to an assigned grade. What we're talking about there is the card's real, but it has been altered likely in some way. It has reached a stage where like they don't want to assign a numerical grade, because it might look like it's this grade, but something has been done.
Yeah.
And to me, the card's still legit, because as long as I know that an alteration has been done and it's clearly documented, again, going back to that word, documented, I don't have a personal issue with it, but I could totally see why some would. I can completely understand. What's that?
I mean, the only other difference is in the art world, and it's documented. You're not encapsulating that card, right? Like, not encapsulating the artwork, right? You're putting up your artwork, and it's meant for display. I own this piece of artwork, right? Well, a lot of us now in the modern day, the reason we don't collect artwork is we look for things that actually are more relative to what we have done in our lifetime, which is collect cards. There are smaller pieces of artwork that you can easily put on your wall in your small shoebox apartment, right? But the thing is, though, you want it to be in pristine condition. But I just find it's a really dirty word to even mention the fact of restoration in our hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand it. I do get it.
I do get it too.
But it's one of those things where it's like kind of like a hobbyist recoil thing. It's very I get it, but at the same time, it's kind of like you have to understand what you're trying to do. Now, the problem is that in those other worlds, the art world and whatever, yes, people try forgeries, people like that's all real. Yeah. And the dollar amounts we're talking about on some of those high-end paintings
substantial
are they dwarf. Yeah. Like you talk about a $4 million Trout Superfactor, like a $4 million painting doesn't even register. Yeah. We got 9-figure paintings. Yeah. Like we're talking like real stuff here. Yeah. And the cards can it get there someday under the right circumstances with the headwind? Maybe, but I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
It would take a while. It would take a really long time. The cards aren't rare enough for that. A one-of-a-kind Picasso is very different than the Trout Superfactor because it's not the same, and you don't have the same audience bidding for it. That's important.
Yep.
So that's really important. And Mike makes a good point here. It's restoring prints, not originals. Yep, I'm totally with you. But the same thing though, like some of those paintings, the originals, they do have restoration applied to them.
Yeah.
But the restoration is done for preservation.
Yeah.
Because it's the rationale behind it, I think, is what makes the mentality a little different. They're not thinking about it as, oh, we're just trying to increase the value. No, they're thinking like, no, we need to do things to make sure this painting can last.
So if you take an old Honus Wagner, which is a very old piece of paper, you want to make that thing last, right? It can't get the sunlight. You got to bury it away, UV protection, and all that stuff. And you want to restore it so at least it'll last a lot longer. I can see people saying, well, I want my Honus Wagner and I spent $2 million on it to last another 10 years in my collection. I don't have to fall apart and I have only like paper dust in my encapsulated holder, right? So it's like,
yeah. And I think the point here is, I think, Bob, what you're getting at is that a lot of it is based on why you're restoring it. It's the why. It's not just what you did. It's why you did it and whether it was clear you did it, whether you hid it from people or made it abundantly clear and documented for everybody to know, because that's huge. A card doctor isn't going to tell you what they did because they don't want you to know, because the idea is to present a presentation that is like, oh no, this is original. And as soon as you do that, we get away from this topic entirely, because even though some of the techniques may be similar, the intent is completely different.
Yep. I agree. I'm talking only from a restoration point of view, right? You'd only be doing this on vintage card stock. That's what I'm getting at when we brought up the topic. We're talking about that specifically. I'm not talking about restoring modern day prisms. Like that wouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see. Now, mind you, I don't know if the technology doesn't exist today, but could you imagine if they figured out a way to remove refractor lines?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like for some people, like that's a huge sticking point. Those print lines like drive them nuts. I know Dave hates print lines, but there are other collectors that are in the same boat. And if you could take the same card and if you could somehow remove the print lines so that it was just a smooth finish with the refractor technology or whatever, the prism technology looking clean for them, going back to our elevated level, it could be the same technical grade. But just not having that print line would make it more valuable for some people.
There are people out there using cleaning products that are used for cars, for metal on cars to take out blemishes that have been trying to do it with cards, right? I know I've seen it in hobby chats. Hey, have you tried using this on this card? It might take out the line, right? Like exactly. I might do this, I might do that. You have very prominent YouTubers who say use microfiber cloth because it takes out all the scratches. Like there's that level of amplification of the card done or modification of the card done. Like I know people are doing it.
Yeah, but I will also say that it does create a bit of a slippery slope because on the one hand, you don't want to take out scratches because presumably you're altering the card. But on the other hand, if you've got fingerprint smudges, you want to get them off before you send them off for grading. You don't want your refractor card to have your big old fingerprint on it. You're like, no, let's get that off. That's not removing a scratch. That's removing something that was added to the surface after the fact. But there's like that line because you could use the same type of cloth theoretically to do either or both.
You sent me down a tailspin of a thought. I'm not going to go there, but I'll save it for another time. But
yeah, but it is something to consider, though. It is part of that whole. All of this plays into it, and that's the thing. Like this, the reason we want to bring it up is because it plays off of what we just talked about with the Mike Baker thing. It goes from there because the reason is they're trying to evaluate a card based on the presumed technical grade, and when they're talking about that, anything that enhances the aesthetic could potentially make it a little nicer. Because again, if the technical grade is the same, but it's a nicer version of it, somebody would pay a premium. Theoretically.
Here's the interesting thing, right? Like I came across this card. I couldn't tell you what it's from, but it's in my collection. It's obviously been trimmed, but someone tried to make that card a nicer card. But look, it's completely trimmed. Right? Yeah. So like, people are doing it, but I mean, I look at it, I'm like, there's no way in that day and age that anyone, well, whoever had this was drunk with a scissor. But anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, they tried to make this a perfect square. Yeah.
And I bought a lot years ago of 52 Bowman cards and 52 Bowman baseball. And I bought the lot and I was able to get stars in it and all that. And I got maybe about 2/3 of the complete set of 52 Bowman. And somebody had cut them down to 50 Bowman size. So if any of you know the difference in kind of the shape and size of them, the 50 Bowmans are basically squares and the 52s are a little bit more of a rectangle. They're a little taller than they are wide. The cards still look clean. They look really nice. The picture on the front is great, but it's super clearly trimmed. Like there's no interpretation required. Like you don't need to pull out a ruler and figure it out. Like guys, it's very clearly trimmed because you trimmed it to a different size entirely. Because they were done like that, even though it had star players in it, this lot would have cost thousands of dollars. I got it for like 100 and change at the time because it's like, well, they're all trimmed. So therefore, and they're sitting in a binder. And at some point I may do the set and then I may upgrade some of the cards in between. But for me, the cards are legit. I've all had them for years now and held them in my hands. And I'm like, nope, these are all good. They're just trimmed. The whole lot of them.
But here's like an example, right? So this is Synergy, right? That's one of the short print parallels. I collect these parallels and I know there are guys out there that are trying to figure out how to protect the surface of plastic. This is plastic, really, or Duflex technology, whatever it may be, right? So people are actually trying to figure out ways to fix this stuff, and they're using all products and cards. And I can't tell if the grading companies actually know if something like that's been put on a card. I don't know, but there are people actively trying to figure out how to do that work.
Yeah, and it will be a time. So this is kind of the point that Bob makes as well. Only a matter of time until card graders find a way to detect wax on chrome card surfaces. They must know what people are doing and using. Yes, Bob, but one thing I would point to you, and this isn't a knock on the card graders. Look at the volumes. Take PSA. They've got a 1 million card backlog. And it's just going to sound harsher than it's intended to. Do you really think they care that much? Like, I really don't think they want to authenticate to a point. They don't want to grade, fakes. They don't want to grade reprints, blatant reprints and things like that. But at the same time, and this is something that has come up a million times, but it bears repeating here, PSA is the biggest player in the game. They get the biggest premiums. They're part of it. We, as collectors, we accept and understand that PSA is a big part of this game. We know that. The PSA set registry, all of it. The very first card they ever graded, the T206 Honus Wagner, the Gretzky Wagner, that one. It's a trimmed card. Yeah. Like, it's not a debate. It's PSA card number 1.
He admitted to it.
Yeah, like the PSA's original sin, right from the start, they graded a trimmed card. Full stop. Yeah. So, and it's about 20 years on. Because I think that was 1991 when they graded that one. And some people know that. A lot of hobby people know that. And we still send cards to PSA. Yeah. They already graded a trim card. I don't have to ask. It's the biggest, highest profile trimmed card in the hobby. Yeah. So like you can't get bigger in terms of profile. And yet PSA isn't going to backtrack on that, even though the guy who did it said, yeah, I trimmed it.
Yeah. And they're not going to, right?
No. And that card's still out there. And the next time it comes up for sale, it'll probably sell for a couple of $1 million. Yeah. Even with the provenance, even with books written about it, literally there's a book called The Card.
Yeah, I have it. The book. Yeah, but at the end of the day, like you said, Carlos, there's like, how many of those cards in existence? A few?
maybe 40 or 50.
Right,
Maybe
so 40 or 50 that the entire world
Yeah.
is going to see. So that one is the exception probably to the rule in a lot of eyes. Like, well, you know what? I get to own one of the 50. There's 3 million of these guys, right?
Yeah. And one of them sold in golden auction. A PSA 1 sold in golden auction for like $1.4 million.
Yeah, like
PSA 1.
Like here's another one, Gretzky. He's not numbered, and he's signed a million things. Not rare.
But that's the thing, guys. You kind of have to remember that. And this one here is a good example of that as well. So Boston Kid references 71 tops. People use Sharpies to conceal the defects on the edges. Yeah, because it's a blackboarded set. So you would do that just to, that would be coloring. That's what that would be called, basically, that type of alteration.
Yeah.
The alterations isn't new to the hobby. Mind you, though, you could argue, and I think that's fair, is that you can argue that that's not really restoration. That's very much intended to deceive. Again, it's back to intention, right? Like, why are you doing this? Are you doing this to preserve the card to keep it ongoing so that it won't disintegrate? Or are you doing something to make it look better so you can sell for more money?
And obviously money is the key driver here, right?
For sure. Absolutely. So Paul, this is the reason why I didn't bother. Normally, sometimes I'll put the game on the other screen. If the opportunity presents itself, I was like, Cowboys, Eagles. No good is going to come from looking at this.
The Cowboys are a train wreck, and I don't want to watch that. I hate the Cowboys.
No
passion.
That's not a game I want any part of. I'm good.
Two teams I hate the most in life. 3 actually, but 2 in football: New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys.
Is there a particular reason for that, or just
I will, but that's a whole other episode.
Okay, sure, fair enough. Okay. So I think as far as restoration is concerned, I think that's really all we can say about that, because again, it's open. For me, the intention is important. For me, disclosure is important. And those are like 2 major big factors with it. And that's just kind of some general thoughts on that. Down the road, we may talk about it some more, but it's going to be a case by case. We got to talk examples. Yeah. We got to talk all that. And it's hard to do as kind of a general thing. We just wanted to get a little bit of a thoughts on that. So let's
do more of an in-depth discussion if enough people have enough things that we can kind of dive into and kind of give us something to react against. We can probably do it again.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that is fair. So let's see here. So Jeremy just asked, what's the third team? I'm assuming you're talking about in the division, the Washington football team.
No. I admire Washington for do that. Anyways, I do not like those 2 teams in football. My third team I hate the most in anything are the Boston Bruins.
The Bruins. Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. So we got this one covered here. So Jeremy already took care of that one.
Oh, I'm so much a Leafs fan that it's sickening.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's see here. Yeah, apparently I heard rumors there's like a thing on Tuesday in the States. I don't know what's up with that. Isn't it like the American Idol finale or something?
It's American Idol. That's exactly what's happening, man. Or is it what is that stupid show with the mask? They sing and they wear.
The Masked Singer.
What's it called?
I think it's just called the Masked Singer. I think
the Masked Singer. I saw that the other day, and I'm like, what a train wreck am I watching? What train wreck am I watching right now?
Well, if you like your train wrecks.
Carlos, you need to. Yeah, that is a train wreck, especially when people are boarding up shop windows, irrespective of which party wins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is indeed. That will be, I won't lie, Dave. That will be an interesting. I'm sure you'll get some viewers. But because look, here's the deal. I'm not going to tell you guys.
On Tuesday?
What's that?
He's doing his show on Tuesday?
His show's always on Tuesday.
Oh, dude. Amish Dave, what the heck are you doing, man?
Do you really? Okay, can I ask a serious question? Do you honestly think that the Amish Dave audience watching this live stream is somehow going to be impacted by, guys, you're taking away from my election coverage. I got to watch my MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, whatever. I got to have them multi-screened.
Look, man, everyone on the planet is watching that election.
I am not watching 1 second of that. I don't care.
I will watch it.
I'm very happy for you. Report back your findings. Send me text message.
You're happy that I'm happy.
And without question, I am.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't waste 1 second of my life on that.
Dave, I'd rather watch on Tuesday morning. No one cares Tuesday morning about the election. Do it on Tuesday morning. Actually, start the train wreck on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Everyone has their coffee.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Star search.
Yeah. Right. Here you go. Messing under the horribly done version of a hit show from overseas. That's
Oh
probably
man, terrible. It's like the Iron Chef, the American version.
1 second here. Hold up. There you go.
I won't kid you not, man. Our team has train wrecked more times than not.
Yeah.
Trading, I think. Oh God, speaking of train wrecks, the Leafs have done a lot of train wrecks.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but that I assume some of that
Well,
is.
I am a train wreck, so hey, whatever.
Oh, we've established that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So the thing is, exactly. I agree with Dave here. It's about the same.
That Amish Dave, don't give anyone any ideas.
Yeah.
Do not give anyone ideas. The homeless need to be warm. Do not take away their only light.
Good on you, Ameet.
Yes.
All right. So let me see here. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yes, the Japanese version is way better. I love it. And when the lead character bites into that yellow pepper?
Yeah.
Today we're going to be cooking with a very poisonous eel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that is fair. That is fair. There you go. And this is also an accurate statement. Yeah, I think that's valid.
I have to watch one of Dave's shows in entirety. I've caught bits and pieces here and there.
It's a journey. I'll use the word journey. I think that's a valid descriptor.
Does he have it on podcast? Actually, Dave, you can hear is your stuff on podcast, and then I can just download it.
Oh my goodness! Could you imagine? It's like, Dave, think about it. You could be on Spotify. You could see if you could get the Joe Rogan deal. Get the Joe Rogan deal going. My goodness. I can't even imagine. I literally can't. But yeah. No, like my whole thing is yes, I did. I did indeed.
Yes, we went from beer to Pepsi.
I did. Yep. It is a journey of a marathon. Yes. Every Tuesday, it's one of those.
Okay, I promise you, Amish Dave, I will listen to one of your. As soon as you tell me it's on podcast, I will download it and listen to it.
Yeah, that's okay, man. That's okay. If I'll tell you what, you can revoke it if you can find it.
What's the man card? What's he talking about?
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll explain it to you later. But I need him to go find it. But you can't wear your glasses, Mike. You have to find it without it. So come back in 6 months when you think you've got a shot. There you go. Fancify them into such downloadable entities. I don't know. Well, I don't think there's a limit. I don't think there's a size limit if you try to make a podcast.
I think
it can handle it.
What's that? It's straight up upload.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could just strip out the audio straight from YouTube and upload.
I think
it's not like you edit it. It's not like you edit it.
I think Jeremy does it the same way. I think it's that simple.
I think Jeremy uses Anchor. I could be wrong on that, but I think he uses like another site. But you could just extract the MP3 and just upload it. It would work.
Yeah, it's fine. Amish Dave, you can do it. I have faith.
He could probably just use Anchor because it's free.
But how many gigs of data will he have, man? Like his stuff's long, I heard.
Well, in audio though, it's not so bad.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, like an hour of like audio would be like 60, 70 megabytes. It's not that bad.
The only drawback to podcasts, if you're showing something on screen, I can't see it, right? Because I'm listening to it. So that's the only drawback to the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Here we go. 3rd and 18 and 1 yard pass. Yep. Here you go. Can be done from a mobile device. And yes. Yep. So he does use Anchor. I thought so.
There you go, Dave.
You can totally do it. I'm pretty sure you can do that from a mobile device. So there you go. That'd be interesting. the Insert Revolution podcast on Anchor.
But wasn't his mobile device the one that ran out of battery really quick?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I can't see anything could go wrong. I co-sign and approve this message.
You know what you should do? You should download your podcast. Just change the order of the show and put it in different order and just throw it up on podcast and see how many people take.
I can't even imagine. I can't. Yeah.
It really is a train wreck, right? None of the cards are in the right order.
It's fair. I think that's legit. Yeah. All right. Cool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to switch this over. I'm going to have another sip of my Pepsi just for Mike. You know, I know he gets excited about that. This is actually one that we were talking about a little bit as well, Ameet.
Yeah.
So we'll shift into this one a little bit. Just for you, Mike. So do you want to start off on the diversification a little bit, at least lead way, or do you want me to set
So we touched on this a little earlier. So everything in this market is hot. if they start reinventing Pogs will be hot. Pokemon is hot.
Okay.
Magic is hot. You could collect rocks outside, and that's going to be hot. I seriously think that, you know what, there's a limit to diversification, right?
Yeah.
The people that truly know how to diversify are the ones that understand the markets really well, and they diversify in a very smart way. For example, if I use the stock market as an example, they have blue chips, then they have natural resources, and then they're going to invest in the Asian market. Like they take portions of their portfolio and they quote unquote gamble in certain areas because they know they have a nest egg that they can work with, right?
Can I quickly say one thing, Ameet, about why this came about, why we kind of talked about this? So part of the reason we brought this up is that one thing we've noticed is that a lot of these topics, by the way, are observations. We'll talk to people, we'll listen to podcasts, YouTube channels and whatever. I want to listen and kind of see what they're doing. And Ameet's doing the same thing. He's hearing things and talking to different people about different stuff. And one of the things we notice is that there is a propensity of a lot of folks to kind of jump from one thing to another because they'll be like, this is the hotness right now. And then as soon as there's another thing, okay, this is the hotness now. And then this is the hotness now. And then this is the hotness now. And it's like, it's whether you're collecting or whether you're investing or whatever, or some combination therein. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a difference. There is a limit to how many directions you can go simultaneously and be effective. And that's where all this comes into play. Now, let me grab a couple of
multitasking in a hobby with limited knowledge is dangerous, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me grab a couple of comments here just real quick because there's a couple here. The second.
If you do it in inverse order.
So here you go.
Drop back Pogs.
Apparently. PSA 10 Gretzky Pog. But what year, Paul? What year? There were multiple years because there was the original series of them. I saw some Pogs from 2005, 2006. I got a Medano that was from a lot later because I think Pogs hit their apex in the late 90s. But they still made some later.
I found some in my collection. I sent it all to CompC. It's not listed yet, but they're all there. They're on the way there.
Yeah.
Stay ahead of the hotness. It sounds like a dating profile.
Yes.
But it's true. It is fun to try and stay ahead of it. But I see if you're not intelligent enough to understand to do your proper research and diversify badly, then you could end up with nothing in the end, right? And there are going to be people who get burnt. And unfortunately, you got to learn the lesson that way. But I do hope, I really sincerely hope, that these people who do get burnt aren't going to lose the collecting bug. Like we're going to retain 10% of the crowd that's there or 20% of the crowd. They become collectors, right? I get it. Chasing the hotness is great. I just worry that people are not doing it with enough education. Am I single? Happily not single.
I sense disappointment.
I do too.
Just saying. Anyway, moving on. Please continue. You were halfway through a sentence. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was.
You lost your train of thought? Okay, I'll bring you back. Anyway, no, the thing is that the reason why we even brought it up is that in the course of our conversation, what we were trying to figure out there was really that the idea of trying to stay ahead of trends is, we'll just call it stay ahead trends. It's fine, like totally. But at the same time, like, do you actually need to stay ahead of trends? Because there are different spots where you can go and if your goal is to make money, let's put it from the investment perspective first. Collecting, let's separate that out because it's a different discussion, a different animal entirely. Don't worry about it. From an investment perspective, if that's your deal, look, you can make money in just about everything right now. Oh, but some stuff's going down. Great. That sounds like a buying opportunity, depending on what it is. If you know what you're trying to do for some of those cards, yes, I want some of the stuff to go down because that's a buying opportunity. And then for other stuff, it's going up. And then the whole idea is that theoretically, and sometimes it scares me because I'll have these conversations. I'll be sitting there like, you do understand the point is to buy low and sell high, right? I don't want to buy high and hope to sell higher.
People are buying high and selling higher in some respects, right?
But that shouldn't be my hope. My hope should be to buy low because then if it does go high, then I do even better.
See, there's a running joke when I used to buy bulk back in the day, and I still buy bulk now. Everyone was like, "Oh, I don't want to sell to me because he's cheap." Well, yeah, I'm cheap because I don't want to like overpay if I don't need to overpay, right? But I think the fact that these people aren't educated enough, that's my worry, right? You have uneducated buyers going after this market and going after what's hot and not knowing what they actually have, right? I'll give you an example. Like I have some Pokemon cards, but I remember I struggled. I'm like, I can't tell a Pokemon Charizard card from another one very easily, right? I literally had a friend of mine explain to me, and literally came on screen with me and showed me, okay, well, this is what's on the card. This is how you can tell. This is how it evolves. And like, I want to educate myself, right? But I don't think a lot of people are taking the time to educate themselves on what it is they're looking for, right?
Mhm.
My worry is people get burnt, and when people get burnt, they lose. They just want to leave, right? They don't want to deal with it anymore, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. So, diversification makes sense if you're very intelligent about the hobby. You know where to go, and you have a nest egg to fall back on, and you can diversify properly. But if you don't, and you spread yourself thin in too many directions and try to multitask, you could get burned in a lot of places, especially in a market like this, which the trends aren't months and years. We're talking like weeks, days.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I was flipping Randy Arozarena rookie cards just because I was watching the games live. And I'm like, oh, he's on a tear. I'll go buy them. And literally within 3 hours, I was buying cards for $3 and selling them for 20. Like, it's that quick.
Yeah, but then do the math though on that. Like, okay, so someone could say like, okay, well, I pick up some of these. I'm just using Pokemon as an example. I'm not picking on it because I spent time. I spent 15 minutes with Dave talking about Pokemon, and my contention in that segment was that I do see that there is some potential long-term value. If that's your desire, there's a potential there. To me, you have to be interested in it. I'm not, but that isn't to say that there isn't a market there. I totally see it, and I see the conditions are in place for that to be a thing. And I'm not questioning that. I'm in fact saying I agree with it. But with that said, if I'm not interested in it, why the hell do I need to get into it? You used an example there of a guy where guess what? You can totally 100%. You can totally get into this thing. And if you can turn $3 into 20 and you buy it and you make enough of these transactions, but if I buy this $300 card, it can become 2,000. How is that different than the 3 for 20 that you did over a bunch of times? Like,
so why not go for the thing that you know that works, right?
You can win in volume. Now, mind you, it's more exciting to do it, buy one thing, sit on it and wait, but then you're hoping for timing. So with this other one, you're reacting.
For me, I got really scared, right? So if I can't tell the difference between the card here and the card here, then what am I doing? Right? If I can't tell the difference, I should not be in this, right? But I actually took the time to educate myself to say, okay, well, how does this work? And I still don't know everything.
Yep.
Let
me grab a couple of comments here real quick, and then we'll come back, continue where we were. See, Jeremy needs to keep working on this. Don't worry, Jeremy. Keep working on it. It's not over. There are other fish in the sea.
I like his statement. I wasn't just to clarify, Jeremy, I wasn't making fun of you. I was just saying that it was just I felt like that, when I was in high school and going to a party, that was something my buddies would say. Jeremy, I think it's time to bean Carlos in the head again. Where is Canadian kid?
I saw you guys doing your raising the roof with your combined ages. Like, I'll take that challenge. You can find me. You can run me down. You can give
Carlos,
it a go.
Let's be real. I can run faster scared than you can angry. All right.
Okay. You can run faster scared.
I can run faster scared than you can angry. So try and chase me.
But then what would you be scared of?
You, my friend.
Well, that's fair, but I wasn't going to chase you. That would require effort.
True.
Yeah, it was.
Was that a gong? Hold on. What's that?
Was that a gong? That was a question.
A reference to what, though?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's great.
I'm just including the comment. I'm including the comment. Paul put in a very valid question, and I'm saying yes. I don't know what it was about, but I think it's fair.
Maybe it was a B and a G that was flipped.
Mayhaps. Yep, getting burned and burned out almost seems a topic worthy of 2 podcasts. Does it count as a second podcast, Dave? If you didn't get to the topic in the first one.
I like to see how you got burned by collecting sports cards, unless you're doing it over the stove or in the bush.
Yeah. I just want to get caught up on the comments here a little bit. So that was the kind of the thing. I wanted to chat with you about it, Dave, because I wanted to also get the opinion of somebody who wasn't as interested in it. Because for me, I think, like I said, it was very easy to talk about. I still think is because the market principles don't change. Pokemon and a different sport, a different whatever, non-sports cards in general, there's a market for those things. And the thing is that when you go in and try to switch from one market to the other where you don't have that knowledge base, then you're kind of guessing.
Yeah,
you really are. Like you're just, and if that's the case, then why are you guessing?
Well, it's not only that though, right, Carlos? You're not okay. Forget yourself. You're measuring against yourself.
Yeah,
people will take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you don't know what you're talking about and you go and you try and diversify and say, "Oh, I want to buy all of this," there's going to be guys who are opportunists out there. They're going to try and make a killing off of you, right? That's the other sad part of this. There are going to be opportunists, right?
Yeah.
So I would almost hope and pray that people are educating themselves as much as possible and not looking at trend lines and actually understanding. Like, here's a good example. Jeremy, I'll use Jeremy if I can use him as an example. He loves Pokemon cards now, but if you remember in everything he talked about, he goes, I love the art.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure.
So he educated himself, but he likes the art of the card, right? So that he's not subjective to him in that way. It's not a guess for him in that way, but he's taking and measuring his own measurement of what he likes about the card, right? And he's talking to people he mentions on this show. He's talking to, I believe it was Ralph. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, Jeremy. If I believe it was Ralph, was kind of helping you learn the game about Pokemon. He's educating himself, right? But the other part of that is the people that are educating themselves know enough to educate themselves, right?
This is the time, Jeremy, if you want to do the shameless plug, because you do have 2 straight Pokemon episodes in your most recent episodes. Now's the time. Just saying, if you want to do your shameless plugs, now would be a good time.
Our whole audience of 8 viewers.
There's more than that. Most
How
of them
many
are
we got
chatting.
right now?
Most of them are chatting.
What do we got right now? How many we got?
15, 16 right now. Fluctuating between.
16. Wow.
They don't chat. They don't talk, but they listen.
Shut up, man.
Well, I think I figured out the gong thing actually. So hold on, let me put the comments on here. You know what it is, guys? I actually think I know what it is. The arm, because it's metallic. If I accidentally bump it, I don't know if you could hear that, but if I accidentally bump it, it does make that sound.
You found your stick.
Yeah.
Totally found your stick.
Yeah, that's only the problem with these little coils. You're gonna. I don't know if you can hear that, but
that doesn't do anything, right?
That would be my guess. I'm just guessing. Hold on here. Let me do this. I don't love Pokemon, but I'm intrigued and dipping my toes. That's fair. But didn't you, now correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you buy your first Pokemon cards like back in the summer a little bit ago to get that started? So that, yeah, the thing is you can dip your toes. The point isn't whether you do it or not. Like, you can totally do it. The problem is that it gets really difficult for most people. Like right now you have bought and sold enough stuff where you've got the hobby wallet, so to speak, to be able to play around a little bit. But there are a lot of folks that I see that have to be a little bit more on a restricted budget, and they're trying to hop into every little thing. And I don't like that for them. I kind of want them to be like, focus a little bit.
Trying to buy this guy, right? They're all they know is one thing on a Pokemon. Charizard. I need Charizard. But, they don't understand they're different types, right? Yeah. So it's like, I didn't know anything about this card. I had to ask 3 people to educate me about this card.
Yeah. Right. And the thing is, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of years, and it's not just, I bought Charizard. Which one? It's relevant.
I need to know what I need to know before I buy it, right? I need to educate myself, right? Like, for example, I'll just do a quick segue for vintage. I was scared of vintage because I was scared of fakes, right? So I was like, I don't want to get into this because it's fakes out there, and I don't want to spend $1,000 on the wrong Gretzky. And I had met another collector who wrote an article for Charleston magazine, or Charleston's was a publication like Becca. I think it's called Charleston. That is about how to spot a fake Gretzky, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And he sent me a sample fake Gretzky card.
Oh, okay.
So I created a kit. So I have a kit that I had has a fake Orr, has a fake Lemieux, has a fake Gretzky, has commons from the set, so I can actually take it. And if anybody were to ever offer me that card, at least have some reference points. Because I'm too scared to make that. To me, to drop $1,000, that's a lot of money. That's a huge chunk of my paycheck.
I think for most people, that's why I always try to be careful.
Yeah.
At this point, maybe we'll use this analogy because I like to have a little bit of fun with Jeremy's stuff on his show. But at the same time, Jeremy is experienced enough a hobbyist. He's been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
He's got enough equity in it where he can afford to experiment a little bit. And if he's wrong, it's not the end of the world. But for these newer hobbyists, I kind of want to think about them a little bit where $100 is a commitment, where they have to really think about it because that's a real group of people. It's a lot of people.
Yeah. And there are people who are spending their stimulus checks and trying to buy sports cards, right? Like, it's just so.
Them, I don't want them hopping around everywhere. It's like, find a niche, learn it a little bit, because then you will make better decisions.
It's funny because when you're at the show, right, and back in the day, like, you could tell a new hobbyist because the way they would look at your showcase, they're like, oh yeah, okay, and they're like almost unsure, and they're kind of rubbing their chin. Wait, Bob is a YouTuber as well?
He has the same mic arm.
Huh.
Bob, are you on YouTube or you do a podcast or what context do you have the arm for? I just found it easier because it was nice where I could move it around.
Yeah,
It just makes
mine's
my life easier.
Yeti mic. I just use that as easier.
No, for sure. The thing is, it's not necessary, but it is handy to be able to position it and move it around if I need to.
Well, a lot of people were complaining they couldn't hear me, so now that I have this, it's handy.
It sounds good for my. It sounds fine on my end. So yeah, Jeremy started buying them back in July, which makes sense. That means now you've had a little bit of time to get in and kind of play around with it a little bit. Also, consulting. One thing Jeremy does well here is that he does talk to the quote unquote experts in that field.
Yeah.
So you do consult. You're like, okay, tell me about this. And he talked about that on his show. I'll do the plug for him on this one. But he did talk about them. He goes, tell me what the good characters are in the sets, which are the best ones for this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, oh, okay, now I get you. Because rather than just going blind, it's like, yeah, Charizard. And then you spend a bunch of money on the wrong one. And now you're like, oh, now you're sitting on one.
Why, it's an expensive mistake to make, right?
Yes.
I mean, now let's go backwards a step. There's two types of collectors if you want to overly generalize, right? There's the wax breakers and the group breakers and the people that are buying for investment pieces, right? The personal collections. Mm-hmm. Scramasaur, dude, I don't even know what that means, man. I just learned a little bit now. So
I'm secretly hoping that's not even a thing, that he's just having fun, but I'm okay with it.
If he is, I don't know anything. I can tell you, I just learned what a Beedrill is and a Grimmsnarl. I gotta tell you one thing about Pokemon.
Okay, go ahead.
I totally love the names. Like the names are so off the wall. Like I love, just forget the arc of the card. The names, like Grimmsnarl, that's pretty cool.
I'm actually really surprised that what's it called? I want to say Digimon, because Digimon was a similar concept that came out later, I think. And every single one of their characters ended with Amon.
Yeah.
All of them. It didn't matter what the name was, how long the name was, how many syllables. It ended with Amon.
So when I was a younger kid, actually not that young. Anyway, back in the day, I'll use that term.
Okay.
We used to laugh about we would say like almost like doing a reggae song, like Digimon. They start busting out in lingo like that. Yeah. It was hilarious. We tried to cross brand the two elements together. This is an exact moment when you're going to put it in your chapter. You had to be there in my own world to laugh at that. So no one else was going to get it. But anyways.
Nice. That's fair enough. Let me grab a couple of these. So this one I think I included a second ago here. This is from Jeremy as well. Jumped in with the Charizards without knowing anything except Charizard is GOAT. Yep. Proceeded from there to learn to make subsequent purchase based on new knowledge and developer preference. The thing is, that's fine. The point that I'm trying to get at is that Jeremy has the luxury of being able to play that a little bit. He can afford to experiment a little bit more than I have to bear in mind the different levels as well, because Jeremy also turns cards over, buys and sells some cards, and does other deals as well. So it's like one piece of a bigger portfolio.
But I don't think it's just that, though. I don't think it's just that. So, okay, the wherewithal to do is a completely different. Like, people have the wherewithal to invest, sure.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he has I'm picking on Jeremy, and I don't mean to do it that way, but I'll use a collector like Jeremy and myself and yourself. We will educate ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the more important piece. Whether or not you have the liquid capital to go after it, you can come up with money anyway, which way from Sunday. Mm-hmm. But you can have all the money in the world and not educate yourself and still get burned.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the people who have the most to lose are the ones that don't have a penny to rub two nickels together. Or sorry, can't rub two nickels together, right? Mm-hmm. So I think less about that and more of the latter I was speaking to.
No, that's fair. And that's the group, but that's the group that you were talking about earlier, folks that you're concerned that might get burned, that might leave because they didn't have that much money to play with in the first place. Yeah. So they can't afford to be getting burned a bunch. And they're the ones that tend to jump without looking. By the way, there's no water in the pool. So when you're diving head first, you probably should have looked before you did that.
Yeah.
Just something to bear in mind for everybody here. So Bob answered the question about the boom arm. Oops, sorry. Let me skip back one step here. Apparently playing games. Yeah. And the thing is, if you've got a headset, having one of these is handy just because then you can position the microphone wherever you want. And the thing is, something like Ameet's works as well because he's got that is the Yeti. Yeah. I think it's the Yeti microphone.
Blue
That's
Yeti.
a good one. You can put it on the desk and just set it to point at yourself, and then you're pretty much good to go there as well. Yeah. Here he fills in the blanks here. Grimasaur is a thing, not from Pokemon. Yeah, the thing is, mind you, I did catch, like I said, a little bit about the Pokemon show that Jeremy did with the thing, and Yamwax mentioned there are over 900 Pokemon. I can't even begin to since I wasn't in it. I don't know. I'm not shocked. Like, it doesn't shock me with the amount of iterations they've had. They didn't want to keep reusing them for every issue. Yeah. So yeah, the kids that are in it, they're going to know. Yeah. 900 Pokemon is like, yeah, well, I don't know, but that's fair. But that means you could buy a lot that aren't going to do anything. And then other ones that are like the superstar performers without question. Yeah. And that's fair. It's a valid comparison. You can pick the big players in and put some money in there and you'll probably be all right. And then, but it's when you get into that second tier where you have to be a little bit more strategic, super careful. Like, for example, think top tier players, Gretzky, Lemieux, Ziggy Palffy, top end guys, only top end guys.
I won't rest till Ziggy Palffy is more than $1 a card.
That might be. Here you go. I love it. Paul knows. Palffy and Profits. #invest. Yes, Paul. Yes, that is correct. Absolutely. But so, that's
just, full disclosure. I have an auction ending in 2 minutes. So I might.
I thought you were going to say with Ziggy Palffy.
No. I'm sure I own several Ziggy Palffys. That's not a thing. I'm just trying to win a couple things here.
It's just important that you disclose that you own several Ziggy Palffys because people understand that you have a stake in the Ziggy Palffy market. Very critical.
I'm going to buy one, right? A PSA 10.
You need to.
For it. I'm actually looking for. I tell you what, you need to find a 10, Greg Jeffries, right?
Yeah,
I'm not joking. You need to find a 10.
I have looked into it. That's not a joke. I have looked.
So let's do this. All right. Let's make it a goal. So in 2021.
I was going to say thank you because you do realize there's not a lot of people actually graded that card, and rightfully so.
I don't care. It's okay. We're gonna do the reverse rainbow, the low grading scale. We're gonna be the anti Mike Baker. We are going to find a PSA 10. Actually, no, Carlos. We're gonna find a PSA 1 of each of those cards.
You realize that what that's going to mean is it's going to entail. I bet you, and we'll do this. It's before this broadcast is over. I bet you there isn't one. We'd have to make our own.
Okay, you know what? Why do you do that? I am going to look up PSA.
You look it up. I'm gonna grab a comment here. So when you jump into Brodeur, the thing is, Dave, Brodeur is a high enough caliber player on the goalie hierarchy that you do need to be a little bit careful. The thing is,
I love that he used the word guile. I just love that word.
It was used appropriately.
Yes,
it works. But double bonus, it was used appropriately. So I always appreciate that. So while you're looking that up here, I'm gonna showcase a card if you don't mind. Let's do that. Let's do that here for a second. So this is a recent pickup. I did put it on the Instagram. So if any of you have seen the Instagram here. Yeah. So my questions. So here's a question to me. Do you want a PSA 1 or do you want an authentic? Because we talked about the distinction. It is important distinction.
What was the lowest one?
Well, technically authentic is lower than a 1.
Then we need to find authentic. We have to go for the low end of the scale.
Well, that just means taking a Greg Jeffries and me writing, "Make this authentic" on the back.
Well, no, it has to have some effort. Okay, that doesn't count. We'll go for a 1.
PSA would do that. They're like, well, technically that is, yes, that's valid.
Yeah, but that's kind of crappy because I want them to actually grade it. I want to, what the crappy part of this whole thing is? They don't want us to send in things to waste their time. And this is a pure example of time wasted. So someone
there's a million card backlog, 990,000 Greg Jeffries. Somebody cut the corner. Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. All right. Let's see. 1991 Zygmunt and Palffy. That's it. Let's find out.
See, I like the suggestion from Bob here. See that one, Ameet?
Most creative PSA. Well, how do you make it creative?
You'd have to look at the requirements.
Like, do I have to cut the corner off? Like, do we have to deface it somehow and get a 1?
Well, maybe you could use one of your patterns of some of your art and cut it in that formation. You could do the snowflake thing.
No, but they might come back as altered, and I don't want that. They'll come back as trimmed. That's not. That was.
Could you imagine your argument with PSA? They're like, "No, it's not altered. It's a 1."
I don't want altered. I want a 1. So you have to.
1, damn it! It's a 1.
No, man. If I trim it or cut it, it's gonna come back altered. That's no good. And then all those guys on the board will like call me out.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I get you.
Okay, so I'm looking up. So the grade.
Yeah, that's true though. And usually where that happens is if somebody does the trimming. If it's trimming and it's obvious trimming, but the card looks clean and it looks decently centered, even though the edges are a little bit lesser than it should be, then yeah, you can get on a thing that looks better than me.
So, Carlos, Zygmunt Palffy, card number 16, upper deck, does not have a 1. Is authentic, does not have a 1.
Yeah.
It only has a 4, which is on Comp C.
Great.
A 7,
an
8, 9, and 10.
Of course.
So our goal is we got to fill in the gaps. So if you want to make it creative, we need to figure out how to get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 5, and a 6. So I'm going to look up Greg. Can you look up Greg Jeffries? And what? Okay, you know the number of the card off the top of your head?
No. I can try to look. I can look it up.
Oh, come on, man! We're gonna have fun with this. We're gonna have fun. Come on.
I'll see what I can do. Give me a second. Okay, first I got to do this.
Fill in the gaps, man.
So we got a new heading here for this section of the show.
Carlos, this is fun.
Oh no, you can, the two things are not mutually exclusive with me. You can lose your mind and we can have fun with it. They're not mutually exclusive. Get PSA 1 to 10. Bob, you missed out. We talked about the PSA rainbow. We've had this discussion.
Okay, so as you can see, you're slow. It is card number 657.2. How the hell is that possible?
Well, there's probably a variation. It's 88 Donruss. Is it 88 Donruss you're looking up?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably multiple.
All right, so look this up just for you. And then we have to subscribe to Card Ladder and then get and track our cards.
Well, I already got the PSA 10 Jeffries tracked, Ameet. I'll have you know.
Well, hold on. Don't ruin the fun for me since you might already have the answer.
Uh-huh.
All right. 1988 dollar. How come it doesn't show up? Greg Jeffries. How do you spell his name? Oh, Jeffries.
It's 2 G's.
Jeff E-R-I-E-S. I love that I'm live and people are listening to me type out loud. This is fantastic.
It makes for good TV.
Yeah. Well. What the heck?
You keep doing your thing. I'm keeping an eye on the chat while you're doing that.
You do that. I'm not.
I will say to you,
E-R-I-E-S.
if there wasn't multiple Henderson PSA 1s, because it's much easier to get a PSA 1 Henderson. Mind you, somebody might have a child collection and they send one in that was beat up. They just want to put it in the holder. For 80 tops, I could totally see that. Especially for some of
this. So that means it never got graded?
What are you referring to?
Greg Jeffries. I can't find this card in PSA's database.
The card in general?
Yeah.
Really? Interesting. I'll give it a shot. Give me a second here. I'll take a look. Because I know I've seen it for sure. Let me do this.
Okay, let me just. Oh, I found it. Okay, it came. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
I have some feedback for the PSA app.
Okay. What do you got?
I have to type it in. It lists me the set, and then I got to go into the set and find the card number again that I just searched for.
Uh-huh.
Hold on, I'm still scrolling.
There you go.
657, Greg Jeffries. Let's see. Well, isn't this interesting?
Is it?
Ready for this, Carlos?
Bring it.
There is no authentic.
Yep.
No 1, no 1.5. I didn't know they had a 1.5. There's no 2, 3, 4, 5. Mm-hmm. There's one PSA 6, one PSA 7, 5 PSA 8s, 12 PSA 9s, and 68 PSA 10s.
Yep.
For a total of Sidney Crosby number of cards ever graded, 87.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carlos, do you accept this challenge?
Absolutely not.
Why not, man?
Listen, I don't have Jeremy Lee money. I can't be just throwing it everywhere.
Dude, it's 40.
We're talking about a PSA 10.
Yeah,
Greg Jeffries. We're talking about the 1980s version of the 52 Tops Mickey Mantle, the icon of icons, the Mount Rushmore of 80s.
Let's get real here for a second. It's $40-$50 tops.
But with like $150 shipping.
We're not tracking the shipment, man. If it gets there, it gets there.
Well, hey, listen, if you buy it on eBay, you don't have a choice, Ameet. If we do the international shipping, you don't have a choice.
You know what? My friend Barry at ComC, I'm going to buy one of your cheap Can you send in a PWE? Hey Barry, are you there still? Hey
Could you
Barry,
imagine?
we're each gonna buy a Greg Jeffries and a Ziggy Palffy card. Can you just ship it in PWE? No duties, please.
Nice. Can you put in requests for ComC? Is that a deal now? For shipping,
Well,
like custom shipping?
our friend Barry that's watching works there.
I know, but it's like custom shipping. I like these options being brought
You know
about.
what? No, I figured it out. We should ask for it with no top loader. However it gets here, and then we have to send it in to get graded.
There you go.
Come on, Carlos, let's do it. It'll be fun.
It's a graded card. What difference?
No. We're getting raw. No. We're gonna send a raw card in and get it.
Okay.
So you get the Greg Jeffries, I get the Ziggy and Palffy, and we both see Barry's gonna ship it if he can in a plain white envelope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever shape it gets here is what grade we send it. Whatever we send it, we get it.
Sure.
Let's
and
do
with
it.
If we're sending it in PSA, so when we get it back a year from now,
it's okay. It could take 6 years.
maybe two.
We're preventing the 20,000th version of Giannis Antetokounmpo's Prism card from being graded by our 2 cards. Come on, man.
There we live the dream. There we live the dream.
And you know what? I will ask PSA that we should do some sort of campaign, some sort of blitz to know that this is happening.
How do you want to define this campaign? She's like, so these 2 morons got these garbage cards. We're sending them in.
You know, if you're really that worried, we'll send the MNT.
I'm not worried about it. There's a cost involved either way.
We should do it, man. Like all things aside, I think it would be an absolute riot to try and get a 1. I would actually get upset if I got a 2.
I would happily get a video of you being upset that you got a 2. And arguing it's like, you guys don't understand. It's not a 2 by your definition. You didn't do this right. Hey Brian, how's it going?
Honestly, I would laugh. I would laugh for days. I would, you know what? Forget putting mantles on my wall. I would put the rainbow Palffy on my wall. That to me is worth more than its weight in gold.
Do you have mantles to put on the wall?
I don't have anything to put on my wall. Let's be real. If I could,
at least the Palffys would be legit. I feel that's fair. That's legit.
If I could afford a mantle, I would, but I can't, so I won't.
There's some ones in the 60s that aren't too bad if you don't go for like a PSA 10.
Well, I mean, I was looking for a PSA 1 Jackie Robinson. I'm not kidding.
Well, Jackie Robinson, like you mean like his rookie?
Yeah, I actually.
Then yeah. Those ones are pricey. Yes,
they're pricey, but I was looking for a PSA 1.
Yeah, they're still pricey.
On my bucket list is a Jackie Robinson rookie. I will get one. I have a 2nd year and 3rd year.
Are you talking about the 48 though, or are you talking about like the 48 Leaf or like the 49 Bowman?
48. I want the older.
The 48 Bowman, the 48 Leaf. Yeah. Okay.
Well, at the end of the day, I'll probably want to get one of each, anyways. There's only 2.
Yeah. The 49 Bowman's a nice card too, actually.
It's just, and the second thing on my bucket list is I want to get the whole team of the Brooklyn Dodgers. At least 1 card of each at some point. That's another thing on my bucket list. So, but I am not there yet.
That's fair. Are you talking about a specific year though?
Yeah, there was. I can't remember off the top of my head what year it was. Hold on, let's look it up real quick.
Well, I'll throw this at you if you want to think about it. 56 tops is a good year only because number 1, the design's good, but number 2, that's after they won the World Series. They did win the World Series in 55.
Did they win it with Jackie? They did, right?
Yeah. 56 is also Jackie's last tops card. It's also his last card.
Yeah, so that one.
Well, like it combines it. He's on the team. You got a Jackie card. You've got Pee Wee Reese. You've got Duke Snider. You've got all those guys. And Sandy Koufax 2nd year, not 1st year, 2nd year. So you get all those components.
Right now. So 56 tops, you said?
56 tops has a lot of those guys from those teams, and it was the year after the World Series winning team. That would be my suggestion, and you get a Jackie Robinson in the deal. So
I'm looking it up now. Actually, while you're here, so it's a horizontal.
Yeah, they're nice looking cards. I've always been a big fan of those ones.
They're not that expensive.
No, that's what I'm trying to get at. It's a classic 50s set. It's a good year for the Dodgers. Jackie Robinson's in it. All the big guys are in it.
So this is the card I own. I didn't realize it was this year. I'll just I guess I can share my screen real quick.
You can, yeah. I'm inclined, Mike. I'd say for the jokes, I'm inclined to agree with you. So Mike was suggesting send them in Express 10-day. That'd be kind of funny. So yeah. So hold on, I'll add this to the stream. So yeah, that's the 56 top Jackie Robinson.
So I own this in terrible shape. It's probably like it's really bad shape.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize I actually own this card.
That's a COMC?
Yeah.
Is that one you have shipped to you, or when you're going to ship yourself?
Let me correct. I have a card at home from this set. I just happened to find it because you mentioned the set. Mm-hmm. So it's just neat that you mentioned that set, and I actually own one of the cards of it.
Yeah. It's a good year. I have the complete set. That's a good year.
I think, you know what? All jokes aside, I think you've kind of convinced me.
Check out the checklist for the Dodgers. It's very good. It's a good year for the Dodgers, actually.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list, and I have an opportunity. It's a bit pricey, but a very good friend of mine has a Jackie Robinson autograph. He's had it for a long time, and it's like something I want badly, and it's just can't bring myself to spend that much money for it, but definitely something I want badly.
There you go. That'll work.
This is not a bad set. Sorry, I'm
please continue. I've got the section properly labeled to me.
What are you labeling it?
Look on the screen.
What?
Question mark?
As much as I like to joke around, and honestly, anybody who knows me well, I like to enjoy life. Right? To me, if I can't have fun doing what I do, there's no bloody point in doing it.
The whole point of this live stream is to have fun, Ameet. That's the point. No, I agree with you. Here's the deal. I will do the Greg Jeffries / Ziggy Palffy challenge. I agree. But I do think we do need to just send it in one shipment because I'm not paying for separate shipping and separate everything on it. We'll come to some kind of an arrangement and send it in with some kind of a bulk grader.
Well, with COVID, it'll be 3 years before we ever get together and coordinate that.
I could literally just mail it to you. We've already agreed it's raw. Like, what is it going to be worse? Is it going to be worse?
It get worse though when you send it to me, man.
What's the problem then?
All right, fine. Send it.
Isn't that literally the point? Maybe I send you that in a plain white envelope. Canada Post, do your worst.
Barry, it cannot be in a penny sleeve. Cannot be in a penny sleeve. Yeah, I know. Are
you looking for an autograph as well? Is that the deal?
He has the auto. Okay. It's a clean auto. I want it so badly, but it's like I just can't bring myself to it. I don't know what it is. Something's holding me back, and I wish.
It's not like the price is going down, Ameet.
No, the price is going up. To be quite honest,
yeah, but that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like as it goes on, it gets more expensive.
I know. I just, you know what part of it is, and you're gonna laugh at me, but once I get it and I've achieved my bucket list, that's like
that the only thing you've got on your bucket list?
No.
There's more stuff.
Listen, Carlos, I have a very long bucket list.
Well, then what's the issue?
That's been on number one on my bucket list for a long time. And I almost like if I completed it, it almost feels like I need something else equally important to be number one. And there is nothing even close to being number one. Yeah, I know. When I think definition of fun, I'm used to first time. Dude, that is like the most nicest thing I've ever heard in my life. You know what? I'm going to send you a through the mail autograph of my own card, Amish Dave. So send me your address and I'll send one out to you.
Yeah, he's on Instagram. Just to look up Titan Hockey Stick. We got it down there as well.
Yeah. But okay, let's go back to so let's work it out while everyone's listening. Sure. So Barry's listening.
Yeah.
COMC on the line, which is amazing.
We've established that COMC is Barry will personally ship this so that we get it in less than 6 years.
Yes, in less than 6 years. We have a vouch. We can be vouched for. Well, no, I can't speak for Jeremy. I'll speak for Amish Dave. He'll vouch for us.
I can think of no greater reference in the hobby. Amish Dave is the first person I think of when I think of vouches in this hobby.
He'll vouch for us, and he's got the hobby hotbed behind him in that Amish County, wherever the hell he is. Where are you from, Amish Dave?
County? Are you serious?
Where are you from, man?
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave.
I think
northern Minnesota. Northern Minnesota, I believe. I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. Please feel free to correct me.
Anyways, the point is, he'll vouch for us. Barry's on. We've got a whole bunch of clout. We've had 4 videos together. Ship it with no safety whatsoever. Go get the recycled envelope. Use that. Send it to us. And I will help us, Carlos, by shipping it to not the company. Send it back to company.
I was going to say you get it from company. And Barry, I'm sending it back to you.
It'll be listed in 3 years. At 65 cents US. We get the card. I'll send it out to PSA.
Yeah, so Ely, Minnesota. That's where Dave is from.
All right. I have never heard that place in my life. But I'll send it to PSA for us. Now, what next is we need to create a whole campaign, an organic traffic campaign that we're going to tell PSA this is going to happen. And we want a 1. If it's higher than a 1, I'm not paying for the shipment back.
You know we can put on the thing minimum grade. But is there like a maximum grade?
I don't know. That'd be weird. Can I have the minimum grade, please? It's like, can I have a punch to the face? Just
no, literally, you put on there. It's like, no, this wasn't minimum grade. I said maximum grade. It's like, no, you said a minimum grade. I said maximum grade a 1. Maximum.
You call, and you know what you should do? You should call customer service if it's a 2.
Yeah, it's like, how dare you, sir?
It's like, you gave me a 2. I need a 1 to win. Oh, hey, hold on. What's the prize for winning?
You came up with this ridiculous concept. I don't have an answer to that.
Well, let's come up with one. What's the prize?
I wasn't aware this was a legitimate contest. Oh, goodness. It's like, whatever it is, it's like, are there really any winners, Ameet? That's the question I have.
Notoriety. We'd be the only one that hold that stupid card.
There you go. If Beckett was still a magazine. It's like, guys, I'm going to print an article about this. Why? Because I guess we should.
It's like the hobby super collector. This is the hobby stupid collector. We pull the cover for something so stupid and ridiculous in the hobby.
Well, at that point, they would give us the cover. It's like, why would they even? They send it. They got ComC to send it directly so they could send it to PSA for this. They put a maximum grade on it. It's like they actually use some hobby pull. There are people that are waiting like 5 years to get their stuff in PSA back. We got our stuff back faster. Why? Because we have to
find an Ultra Pro to send it in. So I don't have any, and they're on back order. So there's a bit of that. But would that be altered though, Bob? That'd be altered.
Here's the thing though, Bob. PSA doesn't actually have very good thicker holders. So even if they were willing to grade the googly eyes, they might send it back, can't holder it.
No, they can do jersey cards and stuff. So why?
For some of them they can, but for some of them they send it back claiming they don't have a holder for it. It depends on the card how thick it is. You have to be aware of that. That's important. You have to be aware of that.
I just thought of another funny thing, but anyways, what is it? Reverse cracking.
We'll fix this. We'll send it back as many times as it takes. You know, the great irony, Mike, is if we did this, given the cards we're talking about, so we go through all this exercise, we go through all this, we do it, and then the loser buys the other one in a 10. So we go to eBay and it's cheaper to buy it at a 10 than it was to do this whole idiotic thing in the first place.
We're the 1% of stupidity if we do this. We are going to do this.
It's like, just flush the money down the toilet. You might as well. If you return to send 12 times, people log over. Like, I like that stat. I don't know if it holds up, but I like that stat.
We could do return to sender if it doesn't work well. But you know what? We have to declare its value on the way down. Oh, this is going to be, you have no idea how much fun that I've coerced you into doing this with me.
Listen, I'm in favor of ridiculousness. So. While Ameet's having a moment, I like how we successfully undermined. There's a reason why I included question mark. Is it hobby talk though? Really? Sorta. Maybe. Ish.
I love
the cards.
You can't do max grade.
We should be able to do max grade. Yes. Yeah, media mail. That's true. That's a fact. It's a fact. You guys are full of good ideas. Good job. Good job, folks. Good job, chat. Good job. I like it.
You know what? We should almost crowdsource. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here.
Meet's about to choke to death.
We should crowdsource another ridiculous idea.
Crowdsource another ridiculous.
Like, think about it. We could do something with authentication, recertification. Oh snap! we could recertify our grade with Mike Baker.
Please continue. Go on.
We'll have to recertify our card. You do know that, right?
So then the question is, for the contest purposes, so are we looking for good for the grade of 1 or bad for the grade of 1? And then, but I don't think he has a sticker for bad for the grade of 1. I think he has where it meets the criteria and exceeds it. So technically, whichever one gets sent back with no sticker is technically the winner on the recertification portion.
You know, by the time this is all done, I could have bought a Crosby rookie card.
Yeah. Listen, you are a very enthusiastic proponent of this idea. I'm enabling. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, yeah, if I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, you're coming with me.
There you go. There you go.
Have it go
like the Olympic torch. I like it.
Dude, if I ever had stupid money, I would do a dumb campaign like that just for something fun to do.
It's valid. I like this. This does not shock me. Try to score off a Dallas fumble, try 2-point conversion and fails, so 21-9 Eagles. Yep.
Did Seattle play today?
I think actually they're playing. I thought I saw them on the docket, but I can't remember if they already played or not. Now you're making me think.
You know, there's one card. Can I show another card I just think is beautiful?
Yeah, put it in the screen share and I'll do it. I'll put it up.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah. The Seattle played San Francisco and beat them 37-27.
You sharing? Am I sharing?
Yeah, it's on right now.
This is the card that's on ComC. It's the Golden Treasures McDavid, and it's a near mint 8. But I love this card. I just think it's so cool. So Jeremy will appreciate this. But I've been looking at this card almost all day. I think I definitely would love to. If this was much cheaper, I'd buy it. The operative word was much cheaper.
What kind of price point would you want?
$898 US.
Yeah, but what? Sorry, I was going to ask. Like, what is the thing with those ones? Is since it's a 1 of 1, it's kind of difficult to price those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where would you put it in terms of, your price level?
I'm not sure because I wouldn't know where.
That's the kind of thing. It's like it's a McDavid, yes, but then how would you pull it off?
Honestly, if it was, of course, I'm super cheap. I'm not super cheap. I just think it's a frivolous purchase. If it was like $200-$300, I probably would have just bought it.
Right. I suspect that's going to be a little on the low side though for that kind of card.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's probably worth at least Crosby money, so probably $500-$600.
Yeah, that sounds more in line with reality.
Yeah, so I've been looking at these pretty much all day while I was sorting. So one of the beautiful things about sorting for the show is I go through all my cards I haven't checked out in a while, and I fall in love with some cards over again. And I started looking up stuff on ComC, and that's one of the ones that one I loved. And I also love the SPX Finites, the ones out of 5 and the 1.
There you go. Let me grab a couple of these things from the chat here. So just everybody correctly showing the score. Yep, played 49ers. There's the score as well. Yep. And then Bob was expecting you to hold up your own rookie card during that when you built up the anticipation.
I do. Has Bob never seen my rookie card?
Well, I assume since he knows about it, he's probably seen it. But if you want, you can hold it up. Dave here suggests that you could sell some Ziggy rookies and have a windfall of excess hobby dollars.
So for you, Bob.
There you go. There's Ameet's rookie.
Come on, camera. You can do it.
Yeah, it's good now. Okay, while you're sharing some stuff here, I'll just share something that I won earlier today. I'll just put this on here for a sec. I like this card, but it is kind of from an interesting year. So this is from 0910, the Cup.
Oh, nice.
That's a Modano Patrick Kane dual scripted swatches. Pretty good. I like that the patch actually has part of the star, but I don't know if the I'm not a super fan, even though it's scripted swatches, so I get it. I don't know if I'm a super fan. Signing on the fabric is just kind of weird.
Well, in some of those cases, I think they purchased the jerseys. Oh
Yeah.
no, so that's Panini did that. Sorry, I'm thinking about the wrong product.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
have a Gretzky like that, and the only thing I don't like about it is the auto is bled.
Mhm.
And I promised myself I would never buy another one like that because I don't like the bleeding auto.
Yeah, with the fabric, it's tough not to have, but I like that it's got Medano and Kane, 2 out of 5. Hold on, I'll switch it up. There you go.
I have to put something behind that. Give me one
Yeah,
sec.
you have to, exactly. You have to, like a piece of paper or something would do the job.
That work? Yeah. Nope, that didn't work. All right, let's try this. So I love this card. It's
Okay,
it's
so I
Larry
see Ray Bork, and I see Larry Robinson, and I see who's at the bottom? Is that Brian Leach?
That is Brian Leach.
Okay, cool.
Such a cool card. And I showed you this earlier, Carlos. I love these cards. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like the patch is just insane. Come on, camera. There you go. See?
Yep, good stuff. So Bork. Just put some comments here. So Jeremy, yeah, that's the thing with that one. The autos do bleed. If it wasn't that it's out of 5, it's like I just looked at it and go, yeah, but it's a good one for the collection, and it's a playing years Medano, so I was like, yeah, I'll get it. I'll pick it up. Although I'm having some fun with this seller. The seller isn't cluing in very quickly. I'm playing around with, and it's going to become a video. I'm using one of those mail forwarding services where you can have a U.S. address. So I've been playing around with it the last week or so. Just trying it out a little bit, and it's working good so far. Although I have to do now the other half of the transaction. So they've gotten the stuff, they've scanned it, and I can see pictures of it to make sure it got there and everything's cool. So now I'm going to tell them to ship it to me to make sure the rest of the transaction is good, and then I'll do it for a video, just kind of reviewing it, just to try it out.
To get it shipped international?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So it looks good so far. I got to try it. Terry, actually, who's sometimes in the chat and sometimes in the comments, suggested it to me. It shipped my cards, so I'm trying them out just to see. So far, it looks so good, but I got to make sure the stuff comes in. I'll try having them initiated a shipment over and just see how that goes. But so far, I'm impressed with what I see. But I'll give a full review once it's done. And I
have a couple of people I use in the States for that. So there's a couple of friends of mine in the hobby. I have a couple of people in California, one in Seattle, Washington, one in New York City, and they'll actually accept bulk whenever I buy bulk. I'll have them to ship it to them, and then whenever there's enough of it, they ship it to me.
I was looking at it though as an example of you can definitely do what you're doing there, because if you get somebody to do it for you, then that's easy. That makes sense. Or family in the States or whatever, that makes sense too. But if for whatever reason you don't want to ask somebody to hold on to the stuff for you, there are services out there that will do it. So I figured I'd try one out just to see. But one of the things that's creating confusion for some of these sellers is if I forget to switch the address, this one is in Ontario. And this one is like, okay, I'm ready to ship it to him. I was like, yeah, I asked you to send me an invoice for the Ontario address. I had to switch it back because they're like, okay, because they're trying to ship it to Arizona. And I'm like, no, you ship it to Canada. Here's the correct address. Just quote me the total and I'll send over the money. Yeah.
The other thing is in America, I try not to deal with too many things that have to pay US dollar.
Yeah, I get it. That's fair.
That's the only thing I've stopped doing. I can't get over that set that you told me about, the 56 tops. I keep looking at it.
It's an awesome set. I'm a big fan of it. It's one of my favorites. So I'll just read a couple of comments there while you're staring. Bottos be like crazy in jerseys. Yep. And the thing, unfortunately, they don't treat these. So they just put them on the card that way. Jeremy says Ultimate Premium Patch is always a great looking set. Very true. Go ahead.
Should I do PSA all of them with that set?
Well, that's whatever you're comfortable with. PSA is going to look good with those. Like, they look good in that.
I like the holder. I like the PSA holder with that set.
Yeah. Have you seen the 56 tops like in person in the holder? They look great on it.
I have not. I only had that one that I didn't realize right until I had seen this picture. I had that Jackie. Oh, nice. Yeah. So that's a one, right?
Yeah. And this is an early win, but these are clean. They come out really nice in a PSA holder. I'm a big fan of them. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's pretty good. So let me grab a couple of these other comments here as well. Some of those baseball autographs and sweet shot cards have bled away 90%. Yeah, totally. It depends on the material they used, because that's really, it's a cool idea, but it gets tough. Those ones have been for 10 years. So they've had the chance to do some bleeding. Hopefully they don't keep, bringing back our restoration argument. Hopefully the autographs don't deteriorate, but it wouldn't surprise me because on material, it's tough for those autographs to sustain. patch is great because you got part of the star and there's plenty of room for full auto. Yep. That's part of the appeal of it. It's also an out of 5, so it's a toughie. No question. That's why I liked it. How'd you do with the latest batch of Medano auctions? Yes. Dave, coming soon, because I was able to win a couple of them. I made some offers and they agreed to it. And I was able to grab a batch of them. I am going to have to reach out. There's a Medano collector, Ameet, who has a ton of like high-end stuff. And I've been buying from them probably for the last year and a half. A couple of cards every week. Literally, but like stuff out of 10, stuff out of 20, like stuff that hasn't appeared on eBay in years. And it'll suddenly come up in their new auctions. And I'm like, how many? After a while, like a year and a half, I've been buying their stuff. And I'm like, how many do you have? I have a lot of high-end Medanos, but it's like, I don't have this one. I haven't seen it in years, let alone had a chance to buy it. So I keep buying stuff from them. And at a certain point, I got to be like, okay, run for the cup. This one. There's a handful. There's a short list of like, these are the ones that I want. If you have them, I'm like, all right, what's it going to cost me?
That's really cool. I'm going to show you another card that I actually set that I picked up, and now I'm having trouble letting it go.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Give me 1 second. Let me just answer from Barry here real quick. So he just says, are you Star fans edition? Yes. So I don't know if you can. That banner is from the Stars 98-99. The only other Stars player I collect a little bit, just lightly, is I pick up some Jamie Benn cards here or there, but predominantly Medano, just because I've been collecting for longer. So go ahead, show off the set that you were doing.
So I picked up this bulk lot of this set.
Oh, I like those. Isn't that the Panini one?
Yes, and every time I look at it, I keep pulling cards out that I don't want to sell.
Right.
And there was a couple of Ovechkins in here, and I'm like, it just looks so clean. I decided to send it off to PSA, so I just shipped it out. But I'm having trouble parting with this set.
How many did you have? Well, a big stack of them, yeah. Okay.
Like, look at this Brodeur auto. Like, it's clean, man. It's clean.
Yeah.
There's a Sakic in here. Another one. I love this guy growing up. Hextall.
Oh, a Hextall, yeah.
And surprisingly, the only one I'm disappointed in, which I don't mind selling off, is I don't like Evgeny Malkin's autograph.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But it's such a beautiful set. I'm like, they don't make them like this, man.
Now, are those all acetate, or is it, or some of them just kind of
prism cards? They're the same. It's the trophy winners from Limited. So Panini Limited was one of my all-time favorite sets.
Is this the same set?
Yep. Same set. And Panini Limited was such a good product. It was the same product that the Curtis Joseph, Felix Potvin created collector were going after, the crease swatches of 25 and 5. It's got a lot of good parallels in there. I love that set. I love that set. Whenever I find boxes cheap, I buy it.
No, that's fair.
I bought this off a collector and fully intend to move it, and now I'm fully intent on keeping it.
That tends to happen sometimes. It's like I said, it's a nice looking set. Yeah, the Bell 4, that's a nice one.
It's just such a nice looking set. And there's one.
You have the Medano in there? Is it a complete set, or is it like partially complete?
No, he was giving up on. There was 3 he couldn't get, which are really hard. I don't remember what it was. Like there's a Bauer.
Nice. Do you have the Medano in the stack or no?
I'm checking right now, actually. I don't know.
All right, cool. Let me just grab a comment here from Barry as well. So Zubov, Medano, Lettinen, best shootout trio of all time. I like it. The only thing is Medano sometimes gets too cute. Ironically, when he's on the breakaway, he's actually much better at shooting when he's on a breakaway than he is in his shoot out. Because he'll try to like, okay, should I make a move or should I just make one move and then shoot? He'll overthink it sometimes because I watched him on the shoot. Sometimes he'll pull off these great moves, but then other times it's like he's like overthinking it. Just like, let me, what am I doing here today? Or am I just going to shoot it or what's going to happen here?
Like, look how clean this autograph is.
Yeah, the Sakic? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't have a Medano, but I have 2 Dallas cards I can show you.
That's fair. So you have the Brodeur. Lennon is criminally underrated. Agreed. Oh, Brett Hall and Belfour.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So I'm having a bit of second thought on that set.
Yeah, is that a thing though, where if you do have second thought that you try to finish it?
See, the problem is I have very little patience. I just keep it for a while until I get to a point where I don't want to do it anymore. I just realized I have another stack here. One sec.
Is that from the same set then?
Same set. I'm just looking. No, sorry, don't Badano.
That's fair enough. The one I showed you is on eBay, so I'm just keeping an eye on it.
It's I can't remember what the really hard card to get out of this set is. Anyway, this is fun because I'm going through like all the different cards, right, that I have for sale, and it's like for the virtual expo, and I come across cards. There's a lot of cool cards produced.
Yeah, I would say I guess it depends, right? You got some time to think about it, but I think those would do well at the expo because they're just nice looking cards.
They're beautiful, and
Yeah.
I'm almost willing to get them graded.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. Panini made some awesome hockey cards. They really did.
Here's another favorite set. I love this set.
Big playmakers, nice.
Yeah. That was always a good set. And then reason I like Panini is this is another great set.
Oh, Cleveland Barons, nice. Who's the player?
It's Charlie Simmer.
Oh, okay, cool. Huge
Yeah.
fan of the Contenders, absolutely. That's a great one as well. Sounds
And then
good.
another card I picked up, which was really cool. I think I showed this before last time, but I love the credentials until you pick one up in person.
This is the newer credentials, right?
Yeah.
The upper deck credentials.
When you look at it in person, it's super shiny, like super beautiful.
Right.
Because you look at cards like that, and then you look at cards like this, and I don't really want to keep it. Like it's not the same feeling I get.
Right. Cool. So let me ask you a question, Ameet. I got a couple of cards I'm going to show off in a minute, but I'm just going to quickly grab something.
Yeah.
If you want to show off a couple of cards for a minute, what do you want to do time-wise? We're at about 2 hours and 20. How are you feeling?
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Well, listen, we had a long, extended conversation of you losing your mind. You've recovered it. So now we're at the other end of that. What do you want to do? What are you feeling?
I'm okay for another 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break, refill the water, and I'll be right back.
All right. You do that. And then, we'll show off a couple of cards, and then I think we'll get wrapped up pretty soon. So if you guys got any questions as well, we can definitely take a couple of those. We've been having some fun here, just chatting about different stuff. We had a couple of topics, but for the most part, it was just kind of whatever we wanted to talk about. Ameet concocted a plan for PSA 1s. We may have to go through with it. So if so, then so be it. I'll have fun with it. Why not? Who doesn't need a PSA 1 Greg Jeffries? Come on. There we live the dream. So I don't mind too much. Just looking through here to see if there's anything interesting that came in recently, or that at least I won recently. Had the silliness on your phone and disaster in the football game. Yep. Well, that's the thing, Paul. Like the Sunday one is really supposed to be silly. Yes, we talk about a couple of topics here and there, but it's like, look, it's not meant to be serious, because sometimes I'll do the live streams where I'll bring in somebody in who has maybe a specialization in something. Well, then we'll spend a good chunk of that time talking about whatever it is it's going to be. But Ameet's already been on here a couple of times, so it's like we're just going to talk about whatever. We chat a little bit ahead of time to go, all right, let's make sure we talk about this. Let's make sure we talk about this. And we did that. So we covered that. And then the rest of it is like, all right, let's just see what happens. We'll go for about 2 hours or 2 hours and change. It's all good. Whatever happens, happens.
Sorry about that. I just had to
no worries.
my legs.
No worries. So let me pop off for 2 seconds. If you want to show a couple of cards, Ameet, and then I'll show a couple in a minute. I'm just going to mute myself. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll show off some cards I have I'm going to have for the show. Here's a cool one. Double XL duos. 2 legends there. I'm a big non-sport guy, so some flash. Show flash. Lovely Team Canada, Mitch Marner. Feel so empty without Carlos and someone to talk to. I just feel like I'm talking to myself. Kind of weird. Let's see what else I can show here. Oh, this is actually a really cool card from a really cool set. Franchises, I believe this is out of. Very cool set. Here's another card you don't see too often. Hold on, camera. Let me take this out of the bag so you can actually see it. So this is Tretiak and Mishkin. So it's like the old school CCP jerseys.
Is that like a Russian card?
Yeah, it's from International Ice, which is a very popular and hard set for a lot of completionists to complete. So when the Vault came out, a lot of things came out to support that set.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a very cool looking set.
It's fair.
I'm trying to find something else that's show worthy that would actually be cool enough to show.
Yeah. So let me do one here while you're looking at that.
Okay.
I'll do one here. So this one is like I said, a lot of the stuff that I pick up ahead of time. So Bob just had a question here. Was that CCP a gold? Was it a gold version?
Let me look for it.
Yeah, because in the game has a thing where they do a lot of that.
Yes, it is.
Nice. So that's the out of 10 unnumbered?
Yes.
Nice.
It is 1 of 10.
Oh, so they did put the thing on the back. Cool. In the game doesn't always do that. That's why I asked. So if a guy could buy lots of in the game franchise autos, I'd be tempted to do it. Yeah. When it first came out, you probably could have. Now it'd be tougher now, especially.
Here's a really cool card. Lustrous from Black.
Yeah. Okay.
So they actually have the black auto on black.
Yes.
I don't own one, but it's really sharp.
That's fair. So I'll use Instagram for this one. Like I said, for my pickups, I usually will put a photo of about one a day, depending on what's coming in on Instagram, just because it's easier to show, but it makes it easier to take a nice picture of it. So this is a recent one here I picked up this past week. So this was the Soto Gold. I'm just a fan of these select golds. I think some of these just are beautiful looking cards. And when I can pick them up and the price is fair, I'm more than happy to do it. Because these are going to dry up in the next little while, especially since some of the folks, now that they've got them, they're like convinced, because I've seen some of these where they're like, yeah, $600. I'm like, it's not $600.
So one card I have, so just give me 1 second, printer's running. Okay. One card that I have that's really, I think they shouldn't do, might be in a minority, but Allure. So I love credentials, not credentials, sorry, Allure. Credentials. They're really cool technology cards. I actually don't like the autograph jerseys on them.
Okay.
I find that it takes away from the niceness of the card.
Yeah.
I prefer to have it without it. So I'm wondering what people think about that. Do they prefer to have the auto, or they prefer to have the shiny and go with that?
That's an interesting question. I think it kind of depends on the design of the card, though. My thought process is always, if the card is designed in a way that allows for the autograph to appear seamlessly as part of the design, I'm cool with it. But if it's just like, I'm just slapping a sticker on top, then you're just being lazy.
True. And actually, like some of these, like, see, for here's an example. Here's a Violet Pixels.
Yep.
Violet Pixels?
I think
yes.
Pixels,
Violet
sure.
Pixels.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see here. I'll just let me take it out. Actually see it better. So see the little shimmer? Mm-hmm. You can see it there.
Yep.
So that's really cool, right? So why, like, I prefer to have that over an autograph card, because I think it just takes away, right?
But like I said,
another good example.
You can design a card in a way that allows the autograph, and that was the last card I put on the Instagram. So which version is that?
That's the matte pink Kale McCarr.
Okay.
It's super sharp. See, like, it's like really sharp.
Yeah. But what I was getting at was that if you design a card from the ground up with the idea that it is going to be autographed, then sometimes the technology is good and sometimes you don't need the technology if you design the card well. This was the last one that I put up on there that some folks seem to like, and I like this design.
That's sharp.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, right from the ground up, you designed it with the space in mind. That's what it's for. It's not like we shoehorned it somewhere in there. It's like, there's room for the patch. There's room for the autograph. It's not busy. We gave it a white space there, and you're good to go.
So my wife is listening to us chat about hobby, and I love that she's got a smile on her face because she understands I'm getting nerdy right now. So here's an example. So the Noah Dobson, right? Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero, yeah.
Really nice card, right?
Yeah.
But then look at this. The autograph kind of kills it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because that one's a sticker autograph just on top, right? Yeah, that's the thing, though. Like, it feels with a lot of those that this, like, okay, well, we should do an autograph version. It's like, well, where do you want to put it? Just slap it in the middle.
Yeah.
And then it feels forced, and it's like, well, yeah, you created a different version, but it's like, what did you really do?
Yeah, yeah.
Not everything has to be hard signed. I've seen some sticker autos where they created a window, and when they do a window specifically for that sticker, and then put the sticker in the window, it's okay. You can do it. It can be done.
Like here's another example of a card like
Here's Jeremy's suggestion.
peel sticker. Like I love the design of that. Like it's really crisp.
The UD MVP, and is that the superscript?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
And even like the contours parallels.
Mhm.
Like that's really well done.
Yeah, because that was a fancier version of an old MVP design. They started borrowing from the old designs, which was good. Here you go, Bob Jackson bringing in a Vegas puck reference. Taking a sticker auto and sticking it on toilet paper. Apparently.
Interesting.
Yep. That's fair. But that's the thing, like right now in the world of creating quote unquote value, a lot of these card companies are overthinking it a little bit, where it's like, guys, you realize you can get really far just by designing these cards. If you're going to make an autograph version, fine. Make a space for it. Design.
I think that's where these like the Pokemon cards, they don't have that, right? It doesn't detract from the art. Like for example, if you had a card like that.
Yeah, but in fairness, like other than the artist, who's going to sign it?
No, I'm saying that's what makes it beautiful, right?
Yeah.
There was a thing, and I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but there was a point where people were actually getting the artist of the card to sign it. I think that's more of a magic thing. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's both, because it's like, yeah, there's a whole fan base for the artists that did the different cards.
See? So one thing Panini does super well, like their what they do in the technology, like that's super sharp.
Let me ask you a question though, because Panini does so many parallels now, and they use so much different technologies. How long do you think it's going to take before they basically fatigue it? Because that's the one thing card companies tend to do. If you throw everything at it all at once, at a certain point, it's like, well, how many variations do you want on the same idea?
The fatigue will set in when people start not making as much money off of it.
Yeah, but I think the buyers are also going to be part of that too. Because so let's do this. One of the variations they do is like the gold vinyl.
Yeah.
Well, let's use that setup. So you do the gold vinyl. Cool. You do it again. Cool. You do it again. Cool. Year 7 or year 8, where every year your player has a gold vinyl, it loses a little bit of its luster when you keep, because it's the same technology. We can change the picture, but it's a different year. But how many times are you going to see the same thing?
Then you also get people who complain that they don't want it to change. And then they complain that it's not being innovative. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
No, for sure. I always thought with a lot of those, especially if you came up, because for some of them, like in basketball, they came up with 40 versions of some of those Panini ones. So if you came up with 40, maybe you could have done 20 and saved 10 new ones for next year, rotate a few out, then rotate a few out, and then bring it back.
Well, it's the economics behind it doesn't allow for us to have them have the luxury of waiting, right? They knew Zion was going to be huge. They're like, look, we got to go full bore and get it done, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I think the other thing, Bob, is in 1990s, like we didn't really get jersey cards really until the middle of the 90s.
Yeah, not for a while.
Yeah, and then autographs by the 90s started creeping up as time went on. But at first, it was really a novelty.
Yeah,
they would only do it in certain sets, and then eventually, if it kind of goes back to what I was talking about with this technology. The reason I bring it up is because we've done this before. Autographs were novel until we started including them in every box. Then we did a product where it was in every pack, and then eventually it's like, oh, an autograph. Because you in order to fill the box full of autographs, you'd have to get autographs of guys you don't really want, and that was the only way you could do it. With the technology is awesome. It looks awesome. But is it going to look awesome 5 years in when you're looking at virtually the same technology, looking at the same type of design?
Yeah, I agree.
It gets tricky. Your artist is really going to have to get creative then to come up with something to make it look interesting. Because I
won my ComC auction, so I'm happy with that.
Your ComC auction?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm feeling a little satisfied right now.
I see. Cool. All right. So
segue. All right. How you doing for time, man? I'm okay if you're okay.
No, I'm fine. So I'll leave it to you guys. I got a couple more minutes in me if you guys want to chat about anything else here. In terms of program, we're done. We're done. We've finished the main bullet points we wanted to hit on. We've shown off a couple of cards. I can look
We
through
got
here
silly.
to find some other ones. Go
We
ahead.
got silly.
Yeah, absolutely. We did that. So I can definitely find some other cards here to show you guys that, were just recently won. So they're not in my possession yet, but hopefully they will be in short order. So I can definitely show you that if you'd like. And Ameet's got a stack of cards surrounding him. So we can do that for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I got more cards I know what to do with.
Yeah. So we can definitely chat for a couple of minutes if you want. So here you go. Bob's got a question. And this kind of alludes to what I was talking about a second ago. Do you believe game use and autographs are a value crutch for card companies? For me, short answer, yes. But it's out of necessity. Like they have to just
Value crutch?
It is, because what happens is when you open a box of me, we're looking at the hits. We're not really worrying about the base cards. The hits can be whatever you want it to be. Some products, it's the inserts or the parallels or whatever. But for some products, it's the game use and autographs. That's the value proposition. So when you're measuring like, guaranteed X amount of hits, well, what the card company defines as hits is really important, and what the consumer considers to be a hit. What I said a moment ago about the autographs. If the consumer reaches a point they don't care about autographs basically cease to be hits, even if you really want to count them as that, even if they really were. And as a card company, it cost you money to get those autographs. You had to get them signed. You did a contract. You did all that. But if the consumer doesn't care, then it's no longer a value add. So as a card company, you're trying to find like, okay, how can we make you guys feel like you're getting value when you're buying this box? Because I can't give you awesome cards every time. Go ahead.
That's a really tough nut to crack, right?
It
Because
is.
the definition of value changes from person to person. So right now, it's not subjective, but the value is how much can I get for card X? And the number one thing most people open up a box is, they never say, wow, that was a really fun 10 minutes I just spent. They're like, wow, that's a really quick way to lose $300. Like it's how they interpret it, right? So yeah.
It is for sure. But the thing is, when you're the card company, you have to, even if you're not 100% sure what the consumer is going to consider, you have to give them something. Because when they open these boxes, they're expecting that they're not going to get a full box base. That's the one thing, like they won't accept that. They won't accept it. Like we're past that point. You can't.
Or if you get shorted a hit, another one. If people get shorted a hit, they get really upset.
Yeah, you can't sell them a box full of base and expect that to go over well. It's going to go over like a lead balloon. Yep. That's just reality. And I understand it. But to playing into this question that's being asked here is, yeah, it is kind of a value crutch, because the card company is like, well, you guys thought game use was cool before, so here's some game use. We included a jersey per box. And it's like, but in order to do that, you have to give me a jersey of insert fourth liner here. Or in basketball, insert bench player here.
Well, put a player name. What was that from?
Sorry?
There was a card that someone had put it said put a player name, and they'd release it into the market instead of trying to get the person to actually sign it. I can't remember what product that was from.
Okay. It rings a bell, but I don't know. Not sure about that one. But that was the thing, is that when you tried to do that, and then you had to, because all of a sudden, and this is always why I've had fun with this thing, with the whole retail and the kids in the hobby and whatever. And my answer is always the same. It's like, guys, if you really want the kids to have a blaster box guaranteed at Walmart, okay, release a set that's all base, and all you get is base and nothing but base. Nothing is short printed. The boxes will stay in Walmart. Yep. Your kids won't want them because all their friends are getting the blaster that has something cool in it instead of just base. So it's a self-defeating thing. Like the card company can provide it to you, but you won't want to buy it. So then why would they sell it to you if you don't want to buy it?
It's a tough nut to crack. And I think, you know what, there's almost no point in trying to figure it out. It's just no one's ever going to be happy. It's just life.
Yeah, for sure. Bob just follows up here with this. And yes, Bob, literally, I'm specifically alluding to this. The reason I asked Ameet that question is that eventually we got tired of game use. And that isn't to say we don't like game use at all. But now we're being more selective. The more discerning hobbyist doesn't just, it's just a jersey card. Now you're excited. Maybe if you collect a player or you collect a team, you're looking for certain game use. Certain game use interest you, but not everything. Some of the stuff is like, it's game used, but it's still game used. Whereas before, when it was brand new and it was novel, you were like, oh man, I got the game used card. The first year of Upper Deck game jersey cards were a sensation. 1 in 2,500 packs. It didn't matter who you got. You're like, oh my God, I got the game used.
I just kind of wish they'd kept it that way.
If they had, but But if they had it at a certain point, they'd be like, oh, but I don't get enough hits. Yeah. And the thing is, Paul,
Yeah.
you're right. But that's, I understand what you're getting at, but it's the issue the card companies are finding with. They're struggling with it. Like I know they're struggling with it right now because they're sitting there like, okay, and this is where they're running into. Some people are talking about, oh, they're making too many products, and it's like because they don't want to overprint a specific product, so they
You
have
know
to
what?
make all these products to spread it out a little bit. So it's not the same product; it's different products.
To answer Paul's question, that's
Yeah,
dark. No one will be happy. That's life. For the hobby purists, they'll never be happy.
yeah,
For those that like to occasionally break wax or go to a casino occasionally, for them, they're prepared to lose the money and they're going to have fun doing it. It's talking about the hobby purists are kind of the bit of the Debbie Downer in a sense, and almost just like I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, I'm sure, but I'm going to get tired of it. Like, okay, stop complaining. I've heard it.
Mhm.
Move on. It's a
Yeah.
hobby. Deal with it.
yeah. And let me use an example here. I actually have a card that I won in a recent auction, so I'll use this as an example of kind of what we're talking about because this is, I think it's a reasonable example of this. Okay, so let me show you guys this one. I don't know if you can remember this one, Ameet. I'll just take Paul's comment.
Oh yeah, that was a fantastic set.
So here's the deal. Let me refresh anybody's memory who doesn't remember these. So this was MVP Stanley Cup edition. I believe this was 2000, 2001, if memory serves me, or maybe 99, 2000, one or the other. If you're around, Dave, maybe you can remember which years. I know it was one of the 2 years, but it was the Stanley Cup edition. And this one was the game used puck card. So you'd have two players, and then you'd have the puck in the middle. Now think about this in concept. How easy is it to get a puck, a game used puck? Pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah, and you can cut them up into a bunch of pieces. And technically, you could take these two players. You got Medano and Brett Hall here. You could take any two players that were involved in that game and stick them on here. They're all valid.
Yeah.
This is a really cheap way for MVP to create a game used product. Now, when these came out, was I excited about that? Not really. But as a Medano collector later, these dried up. And this is the gold version. This is the out of 25. So these are actually pretty tough. I bought this one from that Medano guy that has all those Medanos. He had the regular and the gold version. So I was like, I will take both of those, please, and thank you. But back in the day, I was like, oh, it's just a puck card. And that was, even back then, I wasn't that excited about it. But then now after the fact, I know that they've dried up. I'm like, oh, I probably am going to need to get my hands on it. So when it came up, I was like, all right, let me pounce on this. Because now I understand how difficult they are to get. Is it still exciting? So thank you for that, Bob. Appreciate that. But am I still excited in the concept necessarily? Not so much, but I understand the scarcity and it has a place in my collection. So I'm still interested. But if I was pulling this in a pack back in the day, I'd be like, oh, well, okay, if it fits in my collection, cool. Would I be jumping for joy that it's a game used puck card? Not really, but it would have produced value. That was a hit. And this is the gold version. So it's a rarer version of the hit. So not only that, it's the parallel, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, though. Eventually, they had to keep getting creative and come up with. So we need some game use stuff. Well, we can only cut up so many jerseys. So what do you want to do? Game use puck, guys.
Game funny. I thought about this the other day, and I don't know how valid this could actually be pulled off.
Okay.
So I'd imagine at some point they're gonna run out of. They're gonna cut up a jersey, and there's only so much of the jersey to be cut up, right? So let's say Ottawa Senators patch.
Sure.
So you've cut the patch, you've cut a million pieces of. You must have some threads left over, right? It's not completely garbage.
Okay.
So what is it possible to do a bit of a? Is it any different than taking the leftover threads of 2 or 3 different Ottawa Senators jerseys and creating a card of threads of 2 or 3 different players to create one? Almost like, humor me here. I can't. I'm a bit tired. So I'm trying to remember a word I'm trying to think of, but almost like a quilt, right? The quilt idea. So you take, let's say there's 7 Ottawa Senators players that have very little left of their jersey.
Okay.
Instead of throwing it out, you reuse it and say, okay, we'll use 6 or 7 pieces of this, stitch it together. We create a jersey card of 3 Senators, but it's a different take on jersey, right? I wonder if they thought about something like that.
So what do you put like the entire team in the picture to be like, they're all here in some capacity?
Well, it's like the micro swatch, right? Is SB game use micro swatch? Who has the micro swatch?
That sounds familiar. It feels like it would
Like
be a
really,
product.
really tiny.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like they probably didn't have much jersey left, so they take little pieces of it. But if there's like just the threads left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you take just the threads and the different fabric pieces you have together and make a card, some sort of motif out of that, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. And the thing is, I like, so I'm just including this comment from Bob here as well, but I like this one here. Waiting for Gold Coast to be cut off. You wait, sir.
Goalposts are already cut up, aren't they?
Are we talking about the metal piece, Paul? I feel like because the netting, I feel has already been done.
Netting were done, but I
Yeah,
thought we did
netting is done,
goalposts.
but the piece of metal, I don't know. Maybe? Question mark?
Well, they do it in. So one of my favorite football cards I have is it's a Philip Rivers, and they took the cage and
The
they
cage?
actually
Yep.
chopped it into little pieces and made
Sure.
a card.
Yeah.
I kept one. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I could totally see it. Now, I would say a piece of metal is always tricky because
Yeah.
you got to be careful with that kind of thing. Although you could encapsulate it, like if you make the card thick enough, you could like seal it inside.
It could be like what's that? Seems Incredible or the threads, like the tie. Sorry, the tie, one-on-one tie, like the tie part. It busts out of the card, so you can do something like that.
Yeah. So Bob is, yeah, I remember this piece of part of boards. I remember that. And stadium sets, goal nets. Absolutely. I remember those for sure. And Paul is saying, yeah, the goalposts. I wouldn't be shocked, Paul. If it was me, though, just to be for liability's sake, I would seal it inside of like a plastic encapsulated thing. Yeah, Jared's thinking there is an in the game used goalpost. It would not shock me. Aim the game used would be totally the ones who would do it.
Oh, JR is on?
Yeah, for sure. He was on the
My
other day.
biggest fan? My biggest fan is on.
Yeah. Stadium seats. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, those stadium seats.
Yeah, there's been a lot. That's the point. I think what goes back to the point that I was making though. Like they've tried so many variations that now it's like we're running out of ideas. What is left in the arena that we haven't cut up?
As long as they don't go to the jock strap, I'm fine, man. Just stay out of there.
Give it time. Give it time. You know they want to.
Although Benchwarmers cards has crossed a pretty boundary or two, I think.
Probably. Wouldn't shock me. So I'll just show this one as well real quick here. Same vein. We're sticking in game used. So we do this here. So these are the stick jerseys. If you remember some of the BIA players, straightforward, like straight. But the thing is, like one of the things they did now at this point, enough has changed. But you would release a set like this every year. So you'd have the stick jersey from this year. You had the Millennium. You had the 98, 99. You keep going through them, and they're still cool cards. And obviously, as a collector, I'm happy to have them. But I could see somebody getting bored of those because it's like, well, you did a stick jersey last year. You did a stick jersey this year, next year. About year 7 or year 8 or year 9 or year 10, or in some cases, year 15.
You know, it's funny because so they come out with so Fanimation is another cool concept they came up with. But here's one that I'm a bit disappointed in the actual product itself. I'll just do a quick screen share.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just including Jeremy's comment here. Penalty minutes later set with life of the ref's whistle.
That would be hilarious.
If we're putting pieces of metal in it, everything becomes open. Oh, Zambonis. Yes, Paul. Could you imagine? It's like, what do? You get a piece of the engine.
There are people who collect Zamboni microfigures, so I wouldn't put it. So this card, for example, is a really cool idea. It's called the Credentials Provisions, and I had this on my want list.
Okay.
Until I got it in hand, and it's a paper card. It's a really cool idea, but disappointed when I got it and held it in my hand.
So what did you want here? What would you have preferred?
I would almost wish it was like a chrome kind of feel to it. And that's what I thought it would be like the rest of the Credentials cards.
Okay, question for you. What if it had been like a lenticular or something? Or like a 3D-ish kind of design?
That would have been fine. And I would have loved to have, so you could have like this here with a little bit more pizzazz. Like it could be like almost a rainbow here. Like this if it had something other than just paper stock. I don't know. And maybe because I'm spoiled, and I did think about that, right?
Okay.
But Credentials, the set itself, has a lot of whiz bang and pop to it.
Okay.
Right? So I was kind of expecting that these cards would kind of have that whiz bang and pop.
So you're saying the paper is what kind of fell short.
The paper, it felt cheap. That's the word I'm looking for.
All right. Let me just grab some comments here.
Yeah, they did. There's a towel card of Yakupov, lots of them.
Yep.
Justin Schultz, Yakupov, Ovechkin. Hey, JR Superstar.
Yep. Just grabbing some of the comments here.
They've found all kinds of stuff. They've done paper in terms of the game report.
Yeah. Jeremy's just saying here, and he corrected himself after. So UD did that. Agreed. Absolutely. Yep, that would at least be an idea.
You
could use technology.
Yeah, I would have loved something like that.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea. I feel bad that I'm disappointed in it, but I bought the Capo Caco one, and I'm probably gonna wait till these go a little bit cheaper. I might just buy just to complete the set. It's a 6-card set, and just keep it on one side. But yeah, that was the only one I wasn't totally enthralled with.
Right.
Now I love what they did for innovation. I thought it was innovative, but I love what they did for the Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool. I did the Deadpool Pavel Bure spoof. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, okay. So this was a card? How long
Yeah,
ago?
see if I can find it.
Okay. Sounds good. Yep, you did at least trying. That's fair. Can't fault them for that, but at least you can give. Yeah, of course.
Can't fault them for anything.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
trying, right? They can't win them all.
Yeah, the thing is, you can always give the card manufacturers feedback because that's the only way they're going to learn what people kind of like and don't like. But that's how it's going to be.
Found it. I'll quickly share screen.
Yeah, you do that.
Am I sharing? Oh, no, not yet.
I don't see it yet. You have to get the request. Okay, now I see it. Okay, yeah.
So I loved this card. I just love what they did with it. It's just such a cool set. If I go back out, I'll just scroll really quickly to see if I can find another one from that one. But they did stuff like, you can see the whole series here.
How many cards were in it?
I'm not 100% remembering what all the cards were, but like here's the Canseco one. That is a cool, like really cool. I love that they put the taco on it. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I'm just jotting a quick note here for an updated. Okay. And here, JR also says there's a Deadpool Yager as well.
Yep, there's a Deadpool Yager. It's a really cool. Whenever I see them, I pick them up. I think I'm starting to wind down here, buddy.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured, so I just wanted to check with you.
Yeah, I'm losing some steam. I can't talk that long.
Sounds good. So we'll start winding it down here a little bit, guys. But if you got any last second questions in here that we can talk about, we can certainly do that, and then we'll call it a day. Oh, one other thing I'll mention for those of you that are live and checking it out, and I'll put a reminder email later. I'm about 99% complete on setting up one thing that I'll be doing for sure. So normally Ameet and I do this every other Sunday, just to give us that space and buffer in between. But I had already chatted with him ahead of time, and Jeremy and I will be doing one of these next Sunday. So he'll be joining in, and it was kind of the nice time slot in the middle. So I already know Sunday's good for me, and then we'll finalize that, and we'll get that out to everybody. It'll probably be similar time, but I'll finalize that with Jeremy just to make sure that's done. And I may this week before that, 99% that one of our mutual friends may be joining me for a live stream on Friday. So I'll finalize so it's 100%, but I may be doing a live stream on Friday, and then with Jeremy next Sunday. And
probably be a while for us because we have So you're doing Jeremy next Sunday, and I think the week after that is the virtual expo is coming up. 2 weeks from that.
Yeah. So, but on that Sunday I don't think virtual expo is on that Sunday.
It's on the 22nd. Sorry, I'm just checking. So probably won't be on for a while, right? If you have Jeremy on this upcoming Sunday.
No, I think the math works out. Jeremy's the 8th, and then there would be the 15th.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I think we're still good.
Yep.
Because I think the expo is the following weekend, right?
Yep.
I think we're good. I think we're solid. We go right past it, so I think we're solid. We can definitely talk a little bit about the virtual expo there as well, just to fill in some gaps for folks, because by that point, you'll be further along in your sorting and whatnot. I
hope I'm done and I'm ready for that by the weekend, because if I do any more card sorting, I'm going to lose my mind.
Absolutely. So you're going all out with the big inventory then? Have you got everything? Are you going to have everything scanned up as well?
Yep. So I have my Google Drive. So I've got 110 scans so far, gang scans so far. I decided to put I've made little things to make it easier for people to buy stuff in my Google Docs, because I used to tell me where do you find the card in the Google Drive. So now I've got these little signs that I made that go along with my card scan, so they can actually see which box it's in. They can go find it, like an inventory.
That was similar to last time, though. Didn't you do it that similar way with
the code? So I had just people look at the description and tell me the box. This will be easier. The less people have to hunt, the better. Mm-hmm. I'm going to re-upload everything up to the Google Drive probably within the next day or two. Sorry, next week or two. Hopefully this week, and then have it all done. I'd like to be done. I'm not stressing for it till at the end, right?
You don't want to be last minute trying to whip it together, right?
No, and I think I'm going to be on with Jeremy. I can't remember now which day that was. We
I
said
think you guys are probably doing the Saturday, if
I think
memory
we're
serves
doing
me.
the
Jeremy,
show
you can fill
prior.
us in on that.
Is
Yeah,
Jeremy
just
here?
prior. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it worked out. So I didn't
Hey,
think
Jeremy,
timing
are
wise.
we on? Am I on with you before the show or after? I can't remember.
Yeah, we'll get that filled in here.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure I get the timing right, but I was pretty sure there's no overlap. I think we've got everything cleanly separated out. I believe. Here we go. Jeremy's got it right here. The 21st.
Okay, so it's gonna be quite the hobby month.
Oh yeah. Well, Ameet, you want to start easing your way into hobby stardom when you start making your own content, right? So you're getting the exposure, you're
I
getting out
can't. I won't be doing that for a while. I
there.
want to, but not for a while.
Well, the advantage of the live streams though is it doesn't require the editing. It's kind of like
True.
come on, talk and whatever. So you can figure that out. We'll support it anyway, but in the meantime, these are easy to do.
I think my goal is if I do it, I'll do it in 2021. Right now, I'm just concentrating on this right now, and I'm enjoying these little guests here and there with you and Jeremy. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm definitely getting the bug. I love it. It's another angle to the hobby, and I love being myself. This is who I am, and either love it or hate it. But that's it's just fun.
Yeah,
Of course, they mostly like to bean you, but hey, that's a different story.
I'm devastated. It's really hurt my soul. Sorry, I was sending a message on eBay.
You were what?
I was updating. That seller's still confused about the address thing that I was talking about. I was like, dude, I have a Canadian address. Just invoice me for that. They're trying to invoice me for the Arizona address. I'm like, for God's sake, man. I just sent you an invoice request. And they literally were sending me a message going, yeah, can you send over payment? I'm like, what are you? Literally, I want it today. So I'm like, what, are you hurried? Like, what is your problem? Jesus. I'll send over the damn payment. Just invoice me for the correct address. Calm down. Good Lord. Here you go. Paul's ambivalent. There you go, Paul. That's the spirit. We like the enthusiasm. But yeah, the reality is these are supposed to be kind of enjoyable. That's why I like having the mix of the different guests. Sometimes it's folks that do some hobby stuff. The Sunday ones are designed to be kind of like this because I do want to kind of leave it open. It can go wherever it's going to go. We talked about different cards. We furthered along the Ziggy Palffy agenda. Like it's a win-win for everybody.
Oh, the Ziggy Palffy agenda is for real, bro. That's I'm not gonna let that one down. I'm gonna just do it.
No, listen. I'm game to play the game. We can do that. We can do that. We'll come to some terms and we can.
It's our version of inspiring hobby content. Because if we're like serious, what's the point of being serious? That's why we have masterful shows from other hobby content creators. Some who are watching the show to do the serious stuff for us.
Listen, I don't need you to talk about Dave that way.
Dave is serious on a whole new level of serious.
I often look to him as my guiding light on seriousness in this hobby. Oftentimes,
if I could be half as cool as Dave, I'll be happy.
I love your ambition, love it. But yeah, no, absolutely. And Bob, to that point as well, like yeah, communication on eBay is the easiest thing if you do it right. Like it makes your life easier. And when it comes to eBay, I'm a really easy seller, easy buyer, because it's like, just send me the invoice with the correct amount and we're cool. In this case, I have to send him directly and instruct him. And I go, I have a US address I use sometimes. Invoice me for the Canadian address. He's in Ontario. I'm like, just give me the total. I'll send you the total. But I'm not going to overpay him just to ship it somewhere else so I can ship it back over. That's pointless. I'm not going to do that.
So I'm just so y'all wondering why I'm distracted is found somebody had stuff on sale on ComC, and I'm trying to take advantage of buy stuff and talk to you at the same time.
Are you still trying to win more stuff from the same guy?
Oh yeah, dude, I've been buying since we've been talking for the last 25 minutes.
I almost feel like there should be like a ComC thing being like, I just want to buy a bunch of your stuff. Do I have to click on each individual thing?
You know what? Honestly, there should be a bulk buying option. If I see a bunch of stuff from the same seller, it should be something I can be like, just done.
It would be like a checkbox where you open the seller's page and then just hit checkboxes.
Just
do it all at once.
Because there's sometimes when I see cards I like, I want to just rapid fire buy them. I don't have time to go through every single. And I lose some because I didn't get there fast enough.
I actually think it's a real feature that would be useful in the UI. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think there definitely would be super handy.
Sounds good. So I'll leave Bob with the last word here. Somewhere out there is a Ziggy Palffy super collector cursing us all. There's got to be one.
There has to be. Okay, so we need to create a website that has like our content creation bucket list. And one is to find that pissed off Ziggy Palffy collector.
Nice. Here you go. Bob's got a suggestion. He's like, suggested to come see Ameet. Come on, you got pull, man. We have
Palffy's on right now.
Yeah, like what the... Listen, Barry, could you do some coding? Could you do some coding for us, Barry?
Barry.
Get on this, man.
Where are you, Barry?
So I'm torn, Ameet. I kind of wanted to quickly rush us to the conclusion because we're about 40 seconds away from 3 hours. But now I'm like, all right, let's make it 3 hours even.
Really? Are we at 3 hours?
2 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Oh, this is terrible. Why am I so hungry?
You brought this on yourself, buddy. Anyway, folks, we appreciate you in terms of hanging out with us because there's been a consistent group of you hanging out there. Here you go. I'll quickly put in a comment from Barry. He says he's not here.
Barry.
He says he's not here. It says very clearly on there, mate. He says he's not here.
Barry, still playing me like that, man.
Bob says somewhere in Slovakia. Yeah, probably. Yep. So anyway, so we appreciate you guys checking out, hanging out for a while with us. It's been a good live stream. We've had a little bit of fun. We've gone all over the place. We did have a couple of serious topics in there. I'll go back later and I'll try to put a couple of chapters for the little discussions we did have in there. If you want to check out the replay and skip ahead to it, you certainly can. If you want to see all our silliness, it's here. It's going to be available on a replay. Otherwise, the channel is always here. Have a good night, Jeremy. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, buddy.
And you guys can check out Sports Card Live a lot of you are regulars, so you know this already, but you can check out. He's done some interviews. If you want to get acclimated with Pokemon, these last 2 episodes, he did that for 2 straight episodes, including an after hours. If you're interested in it, you're more than welcome. Thanks for hanging out, Mike. Appreciate you. And yeah, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We can talk about whatever. I'm good with it.
No, I'm glad that we have the freedom to kind of just riff live. I think it's fun. I told Carlos that I was going to try and get Gary Vaynerchuk, so I spammed him twice this afternoon to see if he would pop on.
Yeah. We had a discussion where Ameet was concerned that I would use my mute button liberally on Gary Vee, which would have been so much fun.
I actually had a discussion with him that actually had to be nice.
Have a good night, Paul.
Okay, we better sign off. We're going to just keep going, and I'm losing my voice.
I know. I'm going to cut you off. I'm doing it.
And my brain hurts.
I'm going to let that one go.
Bye.
All right, guys. We appreciate you. I'll be back with Ameet in a couple of weeks. I'll be back with Jeremy next Sunday. I'll let you guys all know ahead of time. If you are subscribed to the channel, you can get the little indicators. I'll put the placeholders there for you. And if you're on the Instagram, I'll put the reminders there. So you'll be able to see it one way or the other, hopefully. And then you can hang out with us. It'll be the same format that we always do. It'll be just us hanging around chatting. All right, guys. Have yourselves a good Sunday. Hopefully it'll be a good Monday. Good luck with the new week. And we'll catch you in the next one. Welcome to November.
Yo.
Welcome to November. Take it easy, JR. Appreciate you.